We all know that being able to communicate effectively is key to success in life, but it's not always easy. Social and communication skills will teach you the subtle art of communication. Expand your horizons and become an approachable person with amazing communication and social skills. Hello, this is Sebastian Clark, and you are listening to Social and Communication Skills, the subtle art of how to talk to anyone and read people like a book to boost your confidence, become a people person, make friends, and achieve relationship success. Provided to you by United Audiobooks. I hope you enjoy my audiobook. Now, let's begin. Introduction. You may have seen a construction site where the ground gets dug deeply and a robust and solid foundation stone is laid. A strong foundation means that the building on which it's built can go higher. However, without this strong foundation, it will be unable to sustain height. The same applies to life. We cannot relate with others, be productive and resilient, and achieve career success and emotional well-being without strong social skills. Sometimes, we're not great at making conversation. Think about it. Have you ever made a joke that fell flat, or you may have inadvertently hurt someone's feelings? It can be easy to overact when something embarrassing happens with friends. But often, it'll all make for a funny story that'll strengthen your relationships in the long run. However, if you make mistakes too often, it can damage your self-esteem. If social skills are something you don't know much about, it may slow down your progress in both work and relationships. Some people might come off as antisocial or harmful to others, but they might be shy. Knowing this can help you better understand your behavior. Many people find it challenging to engage in social situations and make friends. Some people avoid socialization due to anxiety, while others are introverted and enjoy being alone. Regardless of who you are, developing social skills and communicating effectively is essential. It could be challenging to learn social skills if you weren't exposed to types of social dynamics as a child. With mental illnesses or just a plain lack of positive role models, it's hard to learn and maintain these skills. Young people become more adept at managing their own emotions as well as the feelings of others and doing so productively by socializing while they grow up. If you haven't yet developed these skills, don't worry, it's not too late to learn. Interacting with people is a vital social skill necessary for success in all aspects of life. Social skills enable people to keep relationships with others and build new ones. Individuals with good social skills are more physically and psychologically healthy, and their personality develops stronger. Many opportunities are only available to those with good social skills. Being social is not just inborn. One can learn to be social and practice it to get better. Having good social skills can make other people feel comfortable and get along with them. They can also influence their decisions. Some examples of good social skills include attentive listening, punctuality, empathy, and respect. Many people feel anxious now that companies are bringing employees together in person. But don't let this and an inability to spend more than 5 minutes chatting with coworkers hold you back. The good news? The last 2 years haven't made anyone socially competent. The bad news is that many people are acting awkwardly and misunderstandings will happen. You don't have to change yourself, but you might need to change your approach. Your body language speaks louder than anything you're saying. If you're more sociable, your relationships with others will likely improve. Social skills can make you feel better about yourself and your work. They can help you collaborate, improve your confidence, and reduce isolation at the office. This audiobook will give you tips to improve your skills in socializing. We'll discuss how to do that with coworkers, strangers, and friends. So what are you waiting for? Come with me and let's sharpen your social skills, create more connections with people, and open up more avenues for you to find new opportunities. Chapter 1. The Social Foundation, Emotional Intelligence. We might never truly know what others feel, but it doesn't stop us from speculating and asking. We are fascinated with others' emotions, but forced to rely on our own observations to understand them. Instead of relying on our impressions and social perceptions, we can accurately train people to recognize hidden emotions. Emotional intelligence, or EI, is thinking about and processing emotions. Emotions can be very influential on one's thoughts. A person with high emotional intelligence can solve problems more quickly and easily than others, is better at social relations, has good verbal and other intelligence, and avoids problematic and self-destructive behaviors. EI pertains to understanding the various emotions used in daily life, such as when your friend doesn't want their secret to be made public. They might show you their warning by widening their eyes, shaking their head, or even changing the subject. Emotionally intelligent people can understand emotions through cues like facial expressions and recognize nonverbal behaviors. So people usually speak about intelligence as the hard skills, problem solving, verbal work, the logic used, or numerical analysis. When it comes to soft skills, social roles, emotions, and relationships, people rarely think of them as essential measures of intelligence. Hard skills are essential, but soft skills help us maintain friendships, satisfy our work needs, and find happiness in life. Social skills are a core part of emotional intelligence. They teach us how to interact and work with those around us to help us get what we want. We choose the emotions we want to show on stage in a way that may resemble theater. The ones we feel backstage remain hidden. Smiles are an excellent example of something that spreads cheer. It can make others want to smile as well. This will lead to easy collaboration, as I'll get a smile in return for everyone I give. A smile also helps us feel better about our day and can trigger positive energy in others. Social skills are the lubricating oils of society. Interpersonal skills help interactions be mutually beneficial. Social or interpersonal skills include assertiveness, communication, conflict resolution, and anger management. For instance, assertiveness involves communicating one's opinions without infringing on the rights of others. By improving one's social and communication skills, the person will demonstrate greater competency in listening and speaking. Good social skills are also associated with controlling anger, achieving goals, and improving problem-solving skills. High EI is linked with crucial social outcomes, including cooperation, self-management, empathy, and relationship management. Today we can say that social intelligence is the ability to understand and react to social signals. It may also include being able to monitor and manage one's emotions, as well as being able to fit into a variety of social contexts. As adults, social life complexity varies greatly. In general, people have a broad understanding of what constitutes socially appropriate behavior, but may not be able to execute it as well as others. Social intelligence is evident as early as the 6th week of life. By 18 months old, children can read complex social cues and understand others' intentions. As we get older, our social environment becomes more complicated. Most people must be taught many skills to navigate complex social relationships successfully. As adults, we become responsible and capable of acquiring new social skills to help us. Developing social intelligence has many benefits for people. They can benefit from an extensive range of areas, including adapting to changing social situations. If COVID-19 taught us anything, it's that we need to be able to adapt and stay positive when times get tough. The more you develop your social intelligence and empathy, the better you get at managing complex social situations and your own emotions. Personal well-being. Social intelligence lets us better understand how people communicate with each other on a sublevel. It also helps us decode emotional signals and understand our own emotions and those of others. This allows for greater levels of personal and emotional well-being. It's been discovered in a recent study that individuals with higher levels of social intelligence are less likely to experience depressive symptoms and are more satisfied with their lives. Economic success. One of the most common misconceptions is that people with low social intelligence fail. People who can adapt to a workplace and regulate their own emotions will be more productive in the workplace. They'll also be more effective at working with others, building relationships, and thinking outside their box. More employers are now valuing social intelligence over regular IQ scores. Communication and teamwork skills are the most important assets you can bring to a new workplace. Employers value these qualities over decision-making, writing, or taking the initiative. There's more than one model of social intelligence, but we'll be looking at the 5 categories. Self-awareness. To live your life as a high-functioning person, you need to understand your emotions. For example, are you dysphoric in loud environments? Do you get angry when people talk over your voice? You're practicing self-awareness if you're aware of your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors and their consequences on others. Self-regulation. Self-regulation is the understanding and management of your emotions. Knowing how to regulate them as they come up is essential as well. If you become angry, it's crucial to understand how to calm down. Emotion regulation tells you not to do things that make you feel bad. If stalking your ex-wife will make you upset, it helps if you take the time and do something else. Motivation. External factors like money, status, or pain are powerful motivators. But a key component of motivating yourself is internal motivation, the ability to remain driven by your motivations and create or continue projects of your choice. Empathy. It's just as important to be aware of others' emotions. Knowing how people express themselves makes it easier to distinguish between someone who feels comfortable and someone anxious. Understanding other people's thought processes can help in any situation, but it also means being able to empathize with them when they're in different circumstances. This section deals with your ability to steer the course of relationships and get what you want in social situations. It doesn't involve controlling others, but understanding how to reach your goals with other people. For example, letting coworkers realize what you can do for them or asking a friend for help would fall under this category. There's not one right way to handle every social situation. This is why it's good to practice these 4 competencies when approaching new situations. We'll review these and more in the audiobook to help you understand how to apply these principles in different social situations. A socially intelligent person can nurture deep relationships with people they care about. Culture constantly evolves, but to succeed in social situations, we must practice and think about what we do next. Listen on to uncover more. Chapter 2: Social Awareness. What is social awareness? The concept of social awareness is simple. It involves considering other people's perspectives and applying that understanding to interactions with them. It means being aware of the people around you and interacting with them. It can be summed up as reading the room. Higher levels of social awareness allow you to understand better the society you live in. You possess a detailed understanding of society's setups, environments, problems, struggles, norms, and cultures. It almost feels like you can feel society's pulse and vibes. One study found that those brought up in a nurturing environment were more likely to adopt the perspectives of others, while those raised in a high-dominant environment were less likely. Social awareness skills give you the upper hand in interpersonal relationships. They help you solve social problems and have better professional success. That said, most people agree that being socially aware continues to develop as we age and learn from more experiences. Why is social awareness critical? Stronger connections and relationships. As we grow, we subconsciously develop social awareness skills that allow us to understand better how one fits into and contributes to the community and the world. Building social awareness strengthens connections and relationships. It's essential for romantic and non-romantic relationships because people are more invested in each other. In the workplace, it helps us maintain professional decorum and proactively share information. Social awareness also helps us make friends and get along better with coworkers. The world of sports is based heavily on relationships. It isn't easy to accept this, but it's the truth. Relationships are important in getting the job you want. You can have the best resume, but without a connection to get your resume to the people who make hiring decisions, you'll likely never get a chance at the job. Without social awareness, it's hard to form meaningful relationships. However, if you are mindful of opportunities and the other person's feelings, you can make strong connections with people. Building better relationships with your coaches, teammates, friends, or partners can lead to fulfillment. Conflict management. Avoiding conflicts isn't always the best solution, even if that seems to be the goal. Conflict can sometimes be unavoidable, and trying to prevent it only worsens things. We can figure out how to better manage our lives by learning to look at conflict through the lens of social awareness. Arguments can often lead to a lack of social awareness. When people argue, they are typically defending their point of view and not considering other people's needs. This is not good for resolution. This only leads to further frustration and arguing. However, if you're socially aware, conflict can be dealt with more positively. Social awareness helps us understand the other person's point of view. It enables us to consider their feelings, needs, and opinions when making a decision. This way, conflicts are healthier and less damaging. Increased positivity. The two benefits above show how social awareness increases our overall positivity. A positive life is better than a negative one. Anyone who used to slump and now tends to be more positive can affirm this is a better way to live. Improved relationships make it easier to be positive about certain situations. Consider a coach-athlete relationship. Such a strong bond will improve your outlook. If you believe in your ability to keep improving, then as you improve, your attitude is more positive. When conflicts are appropriately managed, we better sense that our life is full of hope and good vibes. We may not see it, but when we can navigate unpleasant situations more smoothly, it's much easier to see the positives in our lives. Less discrimination. Social awareness is tied to empathy, which reduces discrimination and has the potential to make society more inclusive. Once you know how someone thinks and feels, it becomes hard to be discriminatory or think badly of them. It's like looking at someone's inner workings instead of the outside world. People can be biased in various ways, but it's becoming increasingly difficult to discriminate because people can see from multiple perspectives. We typically only have our viewpoints and try to convince others they're wrong. But just because we think something's true doesn't make it so. Instead, high social awareness can help us empathize with others and understand their beliefs. This doesn't mean we need to agree with them, but we can appreciate their viewpoint is different from ours. Forms and examples of social awareness. Schools are perfect for seeing people show their emotions, and kids always offer excellent examples. Consider an interaction where two children are sitting quietly trying to learn. A third child does something inappropriate to get their attention. The others have no other option but to engage with them for politeness. If the two children have a low social ability, then having the third child join in might be accepted. However, if their emotional skills are slightly better developed, they'll likely find this behavior rude. Even though children may not address negative feelings right away, it's likely to affect future social decisions and interrupt teaching and learning. Here's a list of social awareness skills with examples to better understand. Emotional awareness. When you understand what other people are feeling and consider the circumstances, you empathize with them. This makes compassion a natural response. For example, if someone's loved one feels sad, grief-stricken, or lonely, your empathetic response would be to offer them compassion. Self-regulation. Social awareness is difficult to attain. To be socially aware, you must be self-aware and know how to regulate your emotions. For example, if a child throws a tantrum, an empathetic response would validate their feelings while keeping calm. Listening actively. Listen to understand is more important than listening to respond. It's about observing verbal and nonverbal cues, showing attentiveness, and providing appropriate feedback. Let's say your partner got fired. You would sit with them, be present for them, and listen to their concerns without judgment. You can help them by helping them to reflect on what went wrong and what could have been done differently. Respect and kindness. Treating other people with respect shows that you are friendly and generous, which builds feelings of trust and well-being. For instance, treating people with opposing political views kindly is essential. It's better to listen closely, keep your emotions in check, and look for common ground than blindly argue or insult them. Cooperation. One way to make this work is by setting clear boundaries, making compromises, assuming shared responsibility and accountability, and valuing each person's opinions and contributions. For example, when it comes to household chores, you help your spouse with tasks so it can be less stressful for everyone. It's not unusual to feel in need of some social awareness. If you do, you'll understand how you fit into society and how to contribute later. Ways to ignite your social awareness. To make social awareness your goal, try focusing on knowing yourself. You can improve this by trying to understand and appreciate other points of view. Become a better listener. If we want to improve our social awareness, one of the simplest ways is by becoming better listeners. When you focus on listening, it changes the way you think. Sometimes we avoid talking to people because of how they might react. This mindset makes it impossible to reach a mutual understanding and makes us feel like we're in a defensive position. We should listen to understand. Show your interest in the other person, and they'll enjoy talking to you. That'll make communication much more effective. Pay attention to body language. Pay attention to body language while you are communicating with someone. The way they communicate has a lot to say about how they are feeling and what your next move should be. By noticing their body language, it's possible to understand the other person's emotions better. Put yourself in their shoes. Understanding people who are different from us can take a lot of effort. Imagine if you were in the same situation. How would you react? But to understand their opinions and beliefs, it's important to get into their perspective. All you need to do is think about how you would feel if you were them. Would what I'm saying or how I'm acting be upsetting or hurtful? This exercise will help you understand other people better. Social awareness is one of the most important skills for emotional intelligence. It allows one to understand how another person feels, empathize with them, and see things from their perspective. Developing the ability to empathize with others can be difficult. We often get so caught up in our own lives that we forget to think about how other people are feeling. However, it is a skill that can help us better understand how someone else is feeling. Cultivating your social awareness will help you with your relationships. You'll be less awkward in conversations, and there won't be any embarrassing silences. Chapter 3. Social Regulation. Social regulation is the ability to influence the emotional clarity of others through relationships, network, and management. Social regulation is different from social awareness in that it focuses less on reading one's physical signals and more on how to react. Social regulation also helps people to create connections. So, why is social regulation necessary? Successful social regulation and emotional management are crucial to workplace skills like collaboration and communication. They allow one to pursue workplace goals, advance in the workplace, and maintain genuine relationships simultaneously. Social regulation skills are essential for influencing others. Developing regulations that everyone can agree on is crucial. You can do this by focusing on mutual interests, considering others with empathy, and using your knowledge for the greater good. What does low social regulation look like? Here are 3 examples of low social regulation. Talking down to others. People with poor social regulation often talk down to colleagues and friends. This can result from prioritizing being right in their introspective view rather than communicating effectively. According to Inc.com survey results, a condescending attitude from bosses was among the top 5 reasons employees quit their jobs. Being a non-designated spokesperson. One way low social regulation creates mistakes is when people assume their viewpoint is the same as everyone else. This can happen especially in leadership positions when someone used to making decisions and having others do their bidding feels confident deciding without asking for input. When you think your point of view is the most valuable, you are missing out on solutions that others may come up with, which will cause you to lose their trust and respect. Poor communication skills. This lack of social skills will hinder your success in the workplace. You need to be able to read the room and understand people around you if you want to know when it's a good moment to speak up or when it's appropriate to share your thoughts on a topic. People are going to take you less seriously as a result. You don't need to be an excellent public speaker. People will respect you more if they know you care about listening to them. Self-regulation versus self-control. The difference between self-regulation and self-control is that self-control is the ability to resist impulses, while self-regulation is identifying and reducing the intensity of problems that provoke urges. In essence, self-regulation makes it possible to have better self-control. Learning self-control is key to growing up. We always teach our kids not to let their feelings get the best. Self-control is excellent, but it's not the only way to go about things. It's also essential to learn how to regulate themselves. Emotional people often have difficulty thinking of anything but the emotion they're feeling. This is because the emotional parts of their brain take over, while the rational part takes a back seat. When people calm down, their thought process switches to normal and sound decision-making has an opportunity to prevail. People often try to force themselves to ignore negative emotions. The simplest way they do this is by taking deep breaths, counting to 10, trying to distract themselves, and considering the consequences of their actions. All of these things sound great and may be helpful at the moment, but they are not a permanent fix because they rely on the prefrontal cortex to make decisions that help it override the limbic system. Researchers at Duke University suggest that most people are more likely to spiral into distress when they are already upset because their rational side is less influential. That's where self-regulation comes in. In order to self-regulate, we have first to identify the stresses that cause negative emotions and work to reduce or eliminate them. The best way to help one self-regulate is to teach them how to determine what upsets them and give them ways they can cope with those stresses. Self-regulation is not only good for avoiding tantrums, it's essential to ensure we can function well in any environment. Understanding ego depletion. Inhibition is a way of regulating oneself, and it relies on self-awareness and comparing oneself to the existing standards. You probably feel exhausted after a long, busy day. It's easy to want to avoid work when there's nothing left in you. After running errands, working on projects, and rushing from appointment to appointment, will you have the energy for any of your personal goals? After a hard day, people might feel exhausted and burn out due to what psychologists call the ego depletion effect. So, what is ego depletion? Ego depletion is when your willpower has been depleted because you used it in another activity. When faced with a decision, it can be hard to resist doing something. The small act of willpower to say no is difficult. Say no to a sweet treat or another coffee. There's a theory about why our willpower dwindles. Some psychologists believe that your willpower is just a muscle, and you can't do anything anymore as it gets tired. Exercising your willpower is essential, so it's strong when you need it the most. The idea of ego depletion is important to understand if you're saving for a house, launching a freelance career, or counting calories. It means that you can strategically use self-restraint on the bad habits that are your highest priority. The best way to achieve your goals is to make incremental, sustainable changes. You won't solve all your financial problems with a single decision, but over time and with consistency, you can train your willpower to make smarter decisions. Willpower is like a muscle. It can be both strengthened and fatigued. For example, if you exhaust yourself doing sprints, you'll be less able to perform other physical tasks. Studies show that willpower and self-control are similar. When you use up all your energy, you will have less self-control to deal with more tasks. Having good self-control is beneficial in several ways. People with high levels of self-control are more likely to have better relationships and higher achievement goals. Those who lack it can experience social conflict and poor academic performance. There are many ways to deplete your ego, such as exerting initiative or making difficult choices and decisions, emotional stress, low blood sugar, and excessive choices. Essentially, when you put in work without getting anything back, your ego will be drained. Along with different types of fatigue, ego depletion can happen and may be related to something like decision fatigue or burnout. How to overcome ego depletion. The depletion of the ego can make you feel like giving up on your goals. You can do things such as choose achievable goals or consider different ways to reward yourself. Use implementation intentions. If-then statements are often used in coding to control what happens when a particular event occurs. You can also use this statement in your life and work to delegate tasks you don't want to do or automate unimportant decisions. Implementation intentions are statements that you can make to help avoid temptation. Saying, "If I see something tempting online, I'll save that page for later," is an example. Having a plan for what to do in situations where you know you're going to break is an essential way of easing some of the strain out of thinking about what might happen, and that could break. Take a break with positive experiences. Positive mood offsets the effects of ego depletion. To keep your mind fresh, spend a few minutes watching a funny video or spending time with a cherished pet. Get enough sleep. Being well-rested correlates with improved mood and increased mental performance. A positive attitude and cognitive ability decreases the effects of ego depletion. Changing your sleep habits requires time and effort, but it's worth it all in the end. Eat the frog. The technique is simple. Do the most challenging task before your willpower starts running out. You'll be surprised how this then affects your willpower reserves over time. Limit exposure. In one study, those who wanted to eat less unhealthy snacks at work were more successful when they saw their friends eating healthy. This in turn indicates that limiting exposure to a bad habit makes it easier to avoid. Limiting exposure makes it hard for you to get into situations where you need it. 5 steps to self-regulation. I am. You could try deep breathing, drawing, writing in a journal, reading or listening to a book, squeezing a stress ball, or talking about how you're feeling. I solve. Now that you're calm, it's time to learn a new skill or solve a problem. Train yourself or the other person to handle the trigger differently so they'll be prepared for it when it happens again. If you find yourself in a tense situation with your colleagues, try suggesting that the two of you work with someone else who can help you come up with a solution. That said, if you respond to one's bad behavior with frustration and anger, they will probably continue to act out. On the other hand, if you tell them that their behavior is not okay before trying to understand and help them, they are likely to calm down faster. We don't want to feel fear, distrust, or bury our feelings. Instead of getting upset about the problem, we can recognize when we're feeling frustrated and use that calm state to think creatively. There are many ways to achieve peace of mind. A 5-step process that you can use to help someone else calm down might be the best way. If someone looks as though they are getting angry, show them how to remain calm, teach them how to lower their heartbeat and focus on their breathing, and offer encouragement and support. Chapter 4. Motivation. The role of motivation in life. You don't need permission to be great. When you ask for permission, you stop yourself from moving forward toward your goals. Goals are the stepping stones to your dreams, so if you want them, you need motivation. Motivation is the key to achieving those goals, turning good thoughts into action and taking full advantage of good ideas. However, without a goal, it's hard to get motivated. If it weren't for Steve Jobs, you wouldn't have a MacBook Air tablet, iPhone, or iPad. You wouldn't be able to hold that designer handbag or wear those clothes if all the designers didn't chase their visions and turn them into reality. Perhaps you are wondering, so what is motivation? Motivation is the driving force behind all that you do in life. Without it, you would never be able to pursue the life you want to live. Whether it be what you do every day or your big goals, motivation is an integral part of this process. It gives you the strength and power to move on with your life. Motivation is key to who we are. Unfortunately, it's not always easy to maintain. Learning more about motivation can help us improve ourselves and the lives of those around us. It's hard to predict what life throws at us. This can be countered with motivation, which will help us take corrective action. Motivation is a vital resource that allows people to take advantage of the many opportunities and threats they face. A well-motivated person can thrive, whereas a demotivated person will likely flounder. There are many societal benefits to increased motivation, including better job satisfaction in employees and flourishing relationships. The importance of motivation. It is essential to stay motivated throughout your goal process. Here are some reasons why motivation is so important. Identifying a goal. Goals are the vehicle for change. They come from your desire to improve life and can be either positive or negative. If you're unhappy with an aspect of your life, a goal is what will get you the opposite results. On the other hand, there may be something that you enjoy in life, but would like to experience more of it, or there may be something in life that you would like to add. People who have a strong desire for change are motivated to work hard to improve their circumstances. Prioritization. To accomplish your goals in life, you'll need to focus your energy on them and commit yourself to them. There is limited time and energy, so you must choose the most critical projects. When you have a surplus of activities to do, it's crucial to prioritize the ones with the most potential. It's essential to be motivated to choose the tasks that will provide the best results. Action. Anyone can draw up a plan, but the value of that plan won't be known until you put it into action. It would help if you took consistent, decisive, and effective action without fail to achieve your goal. Motivation is the difference between those who take action and those who don't. Whenever you're feeling unmotivated, your high levels of motivation will push you through with success. Overcoming setbacks. Jack Canfield, in his book, offers a surprising statistic. Of the well-known people interviewed about their keys to success, the vast majority of salespeople give up after the fourth time of asking, but 60% of sales are made after the fourth time. This supports the idea that it is worth pushing through and continuing to make your pitch. This can be applied to all goals. We often abandon achieving our dreams because we encounter an obstacle. Resilience allows us to overcome these obstacles and realize our ambitions. You must decide whether to keep going or give up when you hit obstacles. Motivation will enable you to continue with your goal. Staying the course. It is easy to lose motivation when pursuing a goal. Keep your eye on the prize and stay focused on how far you've come. To succeed for an extended period requires someone who is highly motivated and will take consistent action toward their goal. These people are also very determined and reiterated their desire to continue working to reinforce themselves. When you have a clear vision and effective goals to realize that vision, it is essential to take consistent action. To take consistent action requires motivation. Motivation is hard to find, and it's even harder to maintain. Work on it every day if you want lasting motivation that will help you stick with your goals no matter what. Set a goal and never lose sight of the motivation you need to make it through the tough times. Categories of motivation. Extrinsic motivation. There isn't one single way to motivate people, but the key is understanding what people need and the most motivating factor for them. Humans' motives are complex and often influenced by the environment and social groups. Self-determination theory explains when external rewards and punishments can positively or negatively affect motivation. Rewards sometimes undermine autonomy by reducing feelings of self-determination and could lead to dependence. Rewards can both satisfy and undermine our need for competence. It is crucial to dole out rewards that encourage competence without threatening the sense of autonomy. Rewards should be given sparingly and only for activities that are not exciting. Praise is more beneficial than money, as it fulfills psychological needs and lasts longer. People like to be incentivized by rewards that are related to themselves. If they can identify the incentive with themselves, it will have a higher effect. It is essential to identify and understand the motivations that are driving someone's actions. Think about it. What is the difference between saying, "I do this because it's the right thing to do," versus, "I do this because I am a good person"? Intrinsic motivation is present when we engage in something because we want to. We do not need to be given a reward for it, such as money or praise. Intrinsic motivation is what drives us to become curious, and this curiosity motivates us to learn and explore. Intrinsic motivation can come from the need to interact actively with the environment. Intrinsic motivation causes people to be naturally drawn to behaviors that help them become more competent at what they do. Additionally, when we start doing a task for extrinsic reasons, it can turn into something we enjoy and do for its own sake. Intrinsically motivated goal pursuit provides short-term and long-term benefits. It satisfies our psychological need for autonomy and competence, leading to a positive feedback loop of satisfaction. Motivation and self-esteem. People with a strong sense of self-worth are grounded in their principles and values. They can also defend themselves when opposed because others' opinions won't sway them. This builds up their trust and confidence in themselves, leading them to trust their instincts more often than others. People with high self-esteem are more dignified. They can enjoy their lives more and be less affected by others' opinions. However, there is a range of narcissism where they become arrogant and egotistical. Motivation is a key factor in not only keeping your morale up, but also in maintaining goals. Motivated people have high self-control, and if outside circumstances change, they can quickly alter their motivation accordingly. Boost your motivation by improving your self-esteem. To do your best work, tell yourself you're a skilled professional and nobody does that job better. Be proud of your skills, and people around you will start to notice your incredible abilities. You'll be motivated to work hard for more effective results. Motivation versus discipline. I see discipline as what to do and motivation as why to do. Discipline has its roots in Latin, but the meaning is to teach. Self-discipline is teaching your self-control so you don't let temptations dictate your actions. Evolution has changed the meaning of survival. It is no longer about simply surviving, but thriving. For this to happen, we need to discipline ourselves to adopt new behaviors. When motivation starts to fail, discipline is what gets you through. At the end of the day, I think the key is finding ways to link things that seem tedious or pointless with feeling good. Motivation is the force that helps you overcome obstacles and accomplish your goals. It's also the same force that can help you through tough times. Motivation is a lifelong skill that can be improved by self-awareness and strategies. The more you know about your drivers and levers, the better the results you want will come in your life. Self-discipline is the ability to correct and regulate your behavior to improve. It's more of an emotional and instinctual process. Self-discipline helps you stay on your course after you fall off the path. It ensures you do what is right at the moment, even when it might be tempting to do something else. The more self-discipline muscle is used, the stronger it gets. Motivation and self-discipline work together to help you achieve what you want. Motivation can be your initial source of inspiration, while self-discipline will keep you going when it starts to run out. You find your motivation when you ask yourself, what do you want to avoid and why? McClellan's 3 motivators. Achievement. People who are motivated by achievement work best with complicated projects. This type of person also refers to work by themselves and with other high achievers. Give feedback to achievers in a fair way. They want to know what they're doing right and wrong so they can improve. Affiliation. People motivated by affiliation work best in a team environment. They also dislike uncertainty and risk, so try to assign projects they'll enjoy when possible. When providing feedback to someone, it's important to be personal. It would be best if you focused on their positive qualities then go into more detail about the aspects of their job they can improve. They also prefer when they are praised in private rather than publicly. Power. Those who need a lot of power will do their best when they are in charge and doing competitive tasks. They might also be very good at convincing other people and negotiating. To provide feedback to these team members, be direct and ensure that you keep them motivated by helping them find further success. I hope you're enjoying my audiobook so far. It would be a pleasure if you could let me know how you're feeling about this audiobook in the comments section below. We would greatly appreciate it if you could also like this video and subscribe to United Audiobooks to have access to more best-selling audiobooks in the future. Also, if you're interested in getting more free audiobooks, please click the first link in the description below. Now, let us carry on with the next chapter. Chapter 5. Empathy. Often think you're feeling unheard? Try empathy. It'll help you communicate with friends and family better. A recent study has shown that feeling listened to and understood is a human's fundamental need. Empathy helps us get in touch with our emotions and gives us an emotional understanding of ourselves and others. Recognizing and understanding one another allows us to interact, help, and support one another. It is difficult to comfort someone in need if we cannot understand pain. It is possible to become more empathetic. Empathy cannot be inherited, but it is a learned skill that can be improved with time and practice. We can extend this type of empathy remotely to people we feel distant from. The book Born for Love describes empathy this way. Empathy is the ability to stand in another's shoes and feel what it's like there. Your primary feelings are more related to the other person than your own. It is hard to feel or experience empathy if we are consumed with our reactions. Awareness of one's own emotions is essential before feeling empathy for someone else. The 4 qualities of empathy are: being able to see the world as others see it, being non-judgmental, understanding another's feelings and communicating your understanding of that person's feelings. Empathy consists of 4 qualities that are active when someone is being empathetic. These qualities include being peacefully centered within oneself and accurately mirroring the other person's feelings without taking on their emotions. When empathy is done well, the person feels validated, their emotional turmoil subsides, and they are ready to take action. Many people confuse empathy with sympathy or a feeling stopper. Sometimes people dismiss your experience because it reminds them of their unresolved issues and affects them emotionally, so they withdraw quickly. It can be challenging to connect with someone when you're feeling an emotion that may interfere. However, if you work through the emotion and show empathy, the other person will feel more connected to you. Connecting with others is essential in relationships. Empathy creates a bridge that strengthens trust and connection. However, sympathy can sometimes be limited to just one person's experiences. This can lead to misunderstandings about the person's perspective and overall connection to the world. Many people are afraid to show empathy for fear of being responsible for another person's emotions. But it's important to acknowledge that your presence alone can make a huge difference. Caring is connecting and supporting others. It is not taking responsibility for their emotions. If it did, we'd be so overwhelmed. Our first reaction to someone's pain is to try to make them feel better. Empathy does not require us to be responsible for another person's feelings. Empathy is the ability to understand someone else's perspective and form a connection with them. It allows us to support others by allowing them to explore and feel their emotions without judgment. Stages and factors of empathy. Empathy is crucial for emotional and social development. If you want to help people in need, empathy will push you to do that. Although it was thought that empathy does not develop in young children, research has shown otherwise. Studies have found that they respond to others' distress. Stages of empathy development. Newborns. Newborns often exhibit signs of distress when hearing other infants cry. This suggests a precursor to empathy and a predisposition for others' negative emotions rather than an unthinking reaction to noise. Infants. Infants are known to show care towards others. However, as every parent knows, they have a hard time controlling their emotions and often become overwhelmed by the feelings of others. Toddlers. Between 14 and 36 months of age, children begin to show signs of emotional empathy as they develop a complete understanding of the situation. They will apologize and be concerned for others when they see them in danger. This is just the beginning of their empathy for others as it grows throughout their life. Early childhood. As children begin their early school years, they start to see the sense of other feelings and their own. Kids as young as 3 to 4 start to see themselves and others in terms of emotions and desires. Middle childhood into adulthood. Empathy progresses from middle childhood to adulthood, forming one part of the prosocial personality trait. Empathic concern and perspective-taking motivate prosocial behavior. Factors of empathy development. Genetic. There is evidence that inheritance plays a large part in the development of empathy, explaining around 1/3 to 1/2 of the variation found. Mimicry and imitation. Facial mimicry begins in infancy. While the exact link between it and internalizing others' emotional experience is unknown, there is some correlation between the two. Neurodevelopmental factors. The brain interprets other people's emotions using mirror neurons, which may allow us to connect our own experience to theirs. Parenting. Early interactions with parents and caregivers are powerful. As an infant, more time spent in play leads to more empathy in adulthood. Studies have shown that parent-child relationships are vital in developing empathy. This is most likely due to feelings of trust and safety. Temperament. An essential factor in how people develop empathy is personality. For example, shy and fearful children seem less likely to display empathy in unfamiliar situations. Why work on your empathy skills? Empathy is a psychological concept that describes understanding and recognizes others' feelings. The capacity to empathize leads to well-informed decisions in life, which helps in romantic relationships and parenting, among other things. There are a lot of benefits to empathizing with others, like predicting behavior, avoiding errors, and making stronger connections. Some examples. People's ability to read the feeling of others can help them become more outgoing and popular in their childhood and adulthood. Increased empathy will help improve our relationships in the workplace, which will, in turn, help us be better workers and managers. Many studies have found that empathy is a strong predictor of the success of a marriage. Partners who can empathize with one another are often in a more compatible long-term relationship, and those with lower levels of empathy may find their relationship disintegrates. Empathy makes better parents. It helps them be more resilient and better able to face the challenges of raising children. To stop global disasters, we need to extend our compassion as individuals. This will allow us to tackle the problems of climate change, pandemics, and war. Strategies to develop empathy. Our ability to empathize with others can be developed by making small adjustments in our daily lives. Ask yourself questions and have open conversations. By doing more of the things that make us empathic, we will get better at being empathic. Cultivate curiosity. Develop an interest in the people you meet. This can be done by spending more time with them and asking about their lives. Follow people with different backgrounds on social media and listen to what they have to say. When you talk with them, recognize the subjects that make them feel anything. Take a trip to new places and enjoy the local culture. Step out of your comfort zone. Explore your surroundings while traveling or learning something new. It is often best to be out of your comfort zone. Try reaching out for help if you don't know where you're going or accept how helpless you may feel. Humility is an excellent way to gain empathy. Receive feedback. Ask those close to you for feedback to improve your active listening and relationship skills. They may be able to point out missed opportunities. Examine your biases. It can be difficult to see eye to eye with those from different backgrounds. To cultivate empathy and understanding, try getting to know people from other backgrounds by talking about what matters most to them. It's important to acknowledge our similarities while also being interested in the differences we share. Consider donating to charities that provide support to other communities. Walk in the shoes of others. Spend time with people. Learn about them, their culture, and what matters most to them. Understand that different people have different lives and worries. To better understand the human condition, reach out more often, even to those you don't usually speak with but see in your daily life. Don't shy away from difficult conversations. To challenge or be challenged by alternative points of understanding, it is crucial to listen, don't interrupt, and be open to new ideas. If you've offended someone with something you said, apologize. Research the source of their anger and try to understand where they are coming from before doing so. Helpful activities and exercises. Random acts of kindness. When someone does something kind for you, say thank you. You might see them again one day and have the opportunity to make an even nicer gesture for them. To positively impact others, you can find simple and easy ways to do good for them throughout your day. Mindfulness. One of the benefits of mindfulness is the ability to shift our focus from ourselves to an objective point of view. This technique is said to allow us to experience another person's feelings. Role play. Role play is an activity that provides a safe and comfortable way for people to learn about how others may react in difficult situations. Practicing these situations can also help build empathy and understanding among groups. Chapter 6. Communication Skills. What is effective communication? It is crucial to communicate with people effectively. Digital platforms provide a wider variety of communication, but getting your point across the way you want can be challenging. Effective communication calls for the unambiguous and comprehensive conveying of information. Did you know that poor communication has a significant financial impact on organizations? According to one study, surveyed companies with at least 100,000 employees in the United States and the United Kingdom lost $62.4 million per year on average due to poor communication. Research shows that businesses led by effective communicators have higher investment returns than those with less effective communicators. Being a good communicator in the workplace and your personal life often involves 3 skills: clarity, empathy, and understanding. Effective communication is when both the sender and the receiver of a message feel satisfied. Communication can take many forms, including verbal, written, visual, and listening. It can occur in person or on the internet. Why is effective communication important? Trust. In order to be a responsive and attentive team member, one must be able to listen to others' opinions and engage in meaningful discussions. Trust is essential for people you work with and regularly interact with. One benefit of communication is that it helps build trust with others, and you can use communication to set goals and accomplish tasks together. Team building. As teams grow in size, people need to be able to communicate with one another and know who's responsible for what aspects of their work. Communication and transparent expectations make it less likely that someone misses a task or doesn't know what they are expected to do. Team communication can have a positive effect on a work environment. Not only does it improve the general mood and morale, but it also helps create trust, loyalty, and respect among team members. Better relationships. When you take time to listen, you'll be better able to respect the other person's opinion. This will make you feel like you're being heard and valued for your input. In business, it's crucial to keep customers satisfied and retain them. A good way of doing this is conversing with your customers and making sure they have a positive impression. Increased job satisfaction. A trusted colleague with a good relationship with his peers at work is more likely to be satisfied with his job. The environment you create for your team employees will affect their engagement in their roles. Increase productivity and engagement. People need the right tools to work confidently. Providing them with this information will make them more productive while they're at work. Engaged staff are less distracted by other workplace issues and can focus on their tasks, improving productivity. Problem solving. Communication is crucial in solving problems. You should make sure everyone is heard and every voice has an equal opportunity to speak, with the process of coming to a solution that everyone agrees to. Handle conflict. Open communication is the key to preventing conflict in any environment, workplace or home. If people can't understand each other, working together and creating a productive atmosphere will be hard. Remember, no one will ever be a perfect communicator. Regardless of your ability, you can continually develop your skills. The 7 C's of communication. Clear. Firstly, it's essential to be clear in your message. The recipient should know why they are receiving the message and what you want them to do. Secondly, avoid confusing jargon and focus on clearly communicating your point. Using simple language and structure will also help your message be more unmistakable. Correct. It's essential to be accurate in both information and language to maintain credibility. If not, readers will become distracted, undermining effectiveness. The right words are worth 1,000 pictures. Ensure your messages are clear, concise, and free of errors. This will show that you care about your audience and you'll build trust with them. Complete. Having a complete message is often important in communication. When communicating, give the recipient all the information they need for you to be understood and for them to come to your conclusion. Things should be as easy as possible for the recipient. For example, if you are issuing a call to action, provide explicit guidance on what they should do. Increasingly, it's common to include links and other details in communications like FAQs. This helps audiences get a complete picture without overwhelming them with too much information. Concrete. When crafting a response, it's important to ensure it is specific and logical. Make sure that each component of your message builds on the last section and reinforces the points being made. Try to make your arguments based on solid facts, opinions from credible sources, and irrefutable data. Solid content might be difficult for some people to understand. To make it more relatable, you can provide examples of how they fit the message and how it applies to them. Concise. If communicating a message, be sure to keep it short and straightforward. More words do not always make for a better message. Stick to the points of the topic at hand and avoid going off on unnecessary tangents. Courteous. Be polite and respectful in your communications with others. To ensure you are courteous, consider the reader's perspective while composing your messages. Considered and coherent. To ensure your communications are coherent, you should have a logical flow and consistent tone, language, and style. Consistency is key when it comes to delivering multiple messages. It should not matter if your communication were an email, a blog post, or just a discussion in a team chat. Your message should be coherent and readable across these mediums. How to improve your communication skills. Consider your audience. Who are you communicating with? When crafting a message, think about the audience and ensure they are the ones you are communicating with. Awareness of your audience's age, race, ethnicity, gender, marital status, and education level is essential for getting your message across effectively. If you are telling your family about your engagement, there are many ways to do so. You could host a gathering, send them photos over a group chat, surprise them in conversation over dinner 2 weeks later, or post on social media. The best way to tell them will depend on your personal preference and family dynamics. Be an attentive listener. Listening is an essential element of effective communication. Active listening means understanding what the speaker is trying to say without them having to be effective in speaking. People often ignore what you say when you speak. They direct their attention towards something else or don't give full attention to your information. People watching television, playing a game, or working on an assignment would have difficulty listening to someone with full attention. Listening actively can help create a stronger connection between team members. It helps build trust because you can better understand the speaker's current mood and intentions. Take the speaker seriously and listen intently to what's being said. Keep your attention focused on them and what they are saying. Listen for any gestures or words that might hint at confusion or trouble understanding. Then ask the speaker if you don't understand. Pay attention to the speaker and maintain a proper body posture. Nonverbal communication is the key. Body language is important in conversations. It can help indicate your confidence, openness, and even how courageous you are. When a person's speaking to you, you want them to be able to concentrate on what you're saying and not lose focus looking at your screen. When speaking, nonverbal communication is essential to help build rapport, and it's often a more effective way of delivering your message. It's important to pay attention to body language in any interaction. It provides insight to the message being sent. Be relaxed. Communication is essential in any work environment. Stress and anxiety can ruin it and make you feel close to your audience. To avoid this, practice feeling at ease and focusing on communication's positive aspects. If you remain calm and in control during a conversation, both you and the other party will be able to understand your discussion better. This will ensure that your thoughts come across clearly and don't backfire later. Inform. Communicating is a skill that should be developed and consistently practiced. It's crucial to prepare appropriately for a conversation. Without proper preparation, the conversation may not be as effective, and your audience may not find out about the key aspects you want them to focus on or remember. It's helpful to inform your audience of the conversation you'll be having before your presentation. Before presenting, tell them why it's relevant and important. Be visual. Visualizing your information helps you process and retain the data much faster. Humans can remember pictures for a more extended period than words do. There's an enhanced ability not just to see, but remember pictures. To be an effective communicator in the 21st century, you should consider using charts, maps, images, and graphs to convey your information. Show empathy. Showing empathy means understanding other people's points of view and not getting angry when your point of view clashes with others. People need to respect the opinions of others and admire their effort. Competing against them is not healthy because it causes hostility between the people who compete with each other. Statements like, "I know what you're trying to say, but," or "I think," would help others feel they were listened to and spur their morale. Give and receive feedback. Feedback is an essential part of learning and growth. It helps us perceive our weaknesses and take action to improve ourselves. It's important to be open-minded when receiving feedback. Just because someone is critical of something doesn't mean they disrespect you. It just means their opinion is different from yours. Utilize your time sensibly. Don't waste time sitting alone and eating during coffee or lunch breaks. Instead, use your time with your colleagues to understand them better. By understanding your team members, you're better able to understand their preferences and motivations. This will help you to project your needs more effectively and to build a stronger rapport with them. Chapter 7. Build and manage relationships. Win friends. What is relationship building all about? Relationships are essential in any community. Communities need to work together to be effective. This can be accomplished by inviting people and encouraging them to bring their ideas into the mix. Caring about people is an essential aspect of our lives. We care about the success of others in their journeys to get there because their success helps us succeed in our work. Working on your relationship with team members requires constant attention and effort. When companies build relationships with employees, they reap benefits on an organizational level. They can improve job satisfaction and boost employee career success. With friends, you should consider their feelings, ask them their opinion, and value the relationship. If someone points out behavior that bothers them and won't stop, you can tell them how it makes you feel. Reciprocity and mutual respect are two of the most important aspects in a thriving relationship. Relationships are a priority in today's world. Our relationships have a significant impact on how we feel in the world. People who find positive things in their job, family, or other relationships are more likely to feel optimistic about their life overall. Why do we need to build and sustain relationships? Let's consider a real-life example. If you want to organize a block party, it would be best to enlist the help of a few neighbors. They'll provide excellent input and feedback and supply your needs with a little legwork. Having friends in City Hall might help you get your block party permit. If it's not an option, consider building relationships with government officials. If you are close with somebody, they might donate some food to your block party. You can also ask a friend who is personal to become a clown. To have a successful block party, you want as many people from the neighborhood to attend as possible. People who know someone on the planning committee are more likely to show up and socialize with their neighbors. It's easier to plan a block party when you know more people. Building relationships with people is essential to build a community. One must create one-to-one relationships for others to become involved. Many organizations need to build relationships to get support. This is the most successful way of building these relationships. Community plays a vital role in helping people feel fulfilled. It's important to have a support system that helps you through tough times and encourages you to try your best. Every relationship is unique and should be cherished. It would be best if you took the time to meet and learn about the people you encounter daily. Relationships help you to organize a group and build anything from a new playground to a town. Building friendships can lead to many unexpected benefits. It's worth the investment from more robust business networks to more productive conversations. You are at the center. Sometimes you have to make the first move. Otherwise, you risk not getting a chance to talk with someone who matters to you and wasting time waiting for someone else. When do you build and sustain relationships? You do it all the time. When you take the time to ask someone who's working for you about their thoughts on a topic, it can improve your relationship and make you feel closer. I like to think of relationships as the groundwork. When planning a project with a big budget, you need to include time for building relationships. People need time to build trust. Trust is an integral part of cooperation, and it's seen when people have difficulty functioning together because trust is missing. It can be seen in disagreements that seem to erupt over no important reason, which means people are more comfortable being risk-averse. People want a return on their investment. They have to feel like you know them as a person, understand their interests, and will not let them down. It's best to build relationships before the need arises, as you'll be better positioned to offer advice and help if a conflict arises. How do you build relationships? There are 4 phases of a meaningful relationship. 1. The connection. The connection between friends often starts with dinner or an introduction. A chance encounter may also lead to 2 people getting together. When you become interested in the other person, you are urged to take things further. You may exchange business cards or email addresses or phone numbers. In my experience, most business connections seem to fall through. However, some relationships are follow up on more than others. Continuous interaction. During this phase, you foster an authentic, open relationship with each other. Email back and forth and send messages through messaging apps like WhatsApp to develop a sense of rapport. Be sure to meet in person for coffee, lunch, or other small talks from time to time. If the other person is not interested in pursuing a relationship with you, it's best to leave things alone. 3. Trust. Trust is built between two parties when one has been consistent in their behavior and shown reliability. This creates the necessary conditions for a relationship to grow in positive ways and flourish. Trust takes time to build and requires a level of continued action on your part. Trust is built slowly. It takes time to build up the level of trust a person needs to get the job done. A person's success with acquiring new supporters will depend on how quickly they can build confidence in their early interactions and start introducing others who can help them negotiate through this challenging process. Phase 3 is about displaying the positive attributes of your character. You're a real deal who doesn't bluff and just talks. 4. Collaboration. Collaboration is the final stage of relationship building. In this stage, two people agree to work together on something long-term. One way to increase your chances for collaboration is to show potential partnership opportunities. This can include representatives from the person's industry and previous experience with similar enterprises. For instance, success in financial journeys begins with attracting smaller investors. Success can then be replicated by consistently adding value to the returns. Investors will provide more significant investments once trust is gained from the smaller investments made. Because of their trust and confidence in the founder, companies that invest in the company can generate hundreds of millions of dollars simultaneously with minimal risk. How do you sustain relationships? Don't rush the process. The mistake people make is not focusing on building relationships before transactions. They should take the time to be sure the other person will trust them before asking for a collaboration. People need to warm up to your company before they are willing to invest in it, because otherwise, they would not want their reputation on the line. Moving too fast in a relationship will make you seem pushy and anxious. It would be best if you took it slow, easing into the process of knowing someone slowly to build trust. Hold back from the ask. As an entrepreneur, managing cash can be a challenging task. Business owners can identify with this challenge because they need to stay on the right track while making ends meet. It's hard to ask for money without establishing trust. However, by taking time to establish trust and being introduced to other important contacts, you can get more people on board. Everyone in the room is worth talking to. Silicon Valley has a love affair with the wealthy. They would do anything to shake their hand, take a selfie, or ask them for financial advice. Unfortunately, many people bypass others in the room just to get the attention of the billionaires. In the process, they miss out on incredible opportunities. Be authentic, and people will pick up on your vibe. People like to talk to genuine people, and you never know when this interaction will lead to something big. Chapter 8. The Art of Charisma and Influence. Have you ever met someone with an innate and unique personality that made you feel immediately comfortable? Many people possess the talents and qualities of highly charismatic people, but do not necessarily have the charisma themselves. There are various ways to build charisma that can increase one's social standing. So what exactly is charisma? Sociologist Max Weber describes it as a supernatural, superhuman quality typically given to people with either extravagant wealth or exceptional ability. 3 elements of charisma. Presence. When someone is talking to you and they aren't entirely focused, it can make you feel slightly annoyed. People today have a more challenging time being present due to the prevalence of smartphones. People rely on their screens, prioritizing one world over the other. Whether people are sitting at restaurants or at their desks, many can't seem to break away from the screen and actually engage with one another. One way you can be different is by making sure that you are fully present with the people you're communicating with. Charisma is more about the other person than yourself. Being charismatic is all about making the other person feel important and unique. If someone wants to be more charismatic, they should ensure that their interactions with others leave them feeling good about themselves. Some people say that charisma is a trait that an outgoing and extroverted person can only display. However, individuals with more introverted personalities can also display it in certain situations. It's difficult to fake a connection with people. Those in the social circle can easily sense that you're faking your interest and disregarding you. To connect with people, you must be present. It takes effort, but you become better at focusing on someone else during a conversation. Ways to develop your charismatic presence. Ground yourself in the here and now. The little exercise is designed to bring awareness to yourself when you are too distracted. Some ways to achieve this are through meditation, yoga, or using whatever techniques work best for you. Just focus on your breath or your feet. Don't spend time thinking about any thoughts that pop into your head. Just follow the sensation of what you're feeling at the moment, and more often than not, it will be enough to bring you back into this moment. Find a comfortable spot. Finding a way to be comfortable during a conversation can help you feel less distracted and more focused on the person you're working with. Feeling attractive and stylish will make you feel more confident, which can lead to coming off as charismatic. You should wear clothes that fit well and feel comfortable. You can also increase your feeling of comfort by getting enough sleep, abstaining from caffeine, and adjusting the temperature to a comfortable level. Unplug. Your devices can be put on silent and hidden from view when you're in conversation. This helps reduce distractions and phone-related anxieties that often surface during conversations. Putting your phone away sends a message to the person you're with that you have their full attention and are not distracted. Maintain eye contact. Eye contact is a critical way to make people feel more comfortable and successfully draws out people's qualities. Eye contact is a great way to improve interactions with people. It leaves the receiver of your gaze more positive about you and makes them seem more appealing. Use body language. One way to convey presence is through body language. Nodding your head indicates that you agree with a particular person or the general perspective of the conversation. Avoid overcompensating for power to avoid being perceived as trying too hard or agreeing with someone. This will decrease their perception of your likability and authority. For this reason, nod at appropriate times. You'll need to listen to know when a nod makes sense genuinely. Don't think about your response when someone else is still talking. We all have this tendency to interrupt and talk over others. When in conversation, it is beneficial to take a moment longer to think about what you will say next. It's important not to rush through your responses. Pauses help you gather your thoughts and think of what you want to say. For nonverbal signals to be effective, you must ensure that the person is tuned in and engaged. Power. Power is associated with a person's ability to affect the world around them, whether through influence over others or power of authority. Power is the number one attraction for most people, no matter how much money they have. Influential people give power users a sense of security and safety they might not otherwise have. People value people who are confident and have power over others. But you may seem less powerful when you don't have the requisite physical cues. However, if you are too powerful, you might come off as aloof or arrogant. But that's okay if you still offer warmth and presence. Ways to develop your charismatic power. Boost your confidence. Confidence is a state of mind. Everyone needs to reach a point in their life where they are comfortable with themselves and their actions. Power can be defined as confidence, which leads to power over others. Mastery provides a sense of accomplishment. Deepening your understanding of a particular subject will make you feel more prepared to tackle any situation. Know a little about a lot. One should seek to know about a variety of subjects. A person with diverse knowledge will seem to be more intelligent. How do you gain a wide breadth of knowledge? It's simple. Read as much as possible. Stay in shape. Your body shape is one of the first things people notice when they meet you. A fit and muscular physique signal other people's brains about your strength and ability to dominate and protect. The perception of being healthy and fit can reduce anxiety and help men earn more money in the workplace. Assume power poses. A power pose is a pose that people perform to show positivity and confidence. This is most commonly seen at the end of a victory celebration, but one could achieve this pose daily. Some common positions for conveying power are arm akimbo, leaning back in a chair with hands behind your head, or standing with your hands on your hips. Stand up and lean in to speak if you're at a meeting. This will let others know you are ready to get down to business. Take charge of your environment. Familiarity with our surroundings can give us a sense of control, which makes us feel confident. This is why organizations sometimes fight over where negotiations will be held before they even start negotiating. Waiting for your first time in a new place can be difficult, especially if it's unfamiliar. When you set your sights on meeting with someone you don't know well, try doing something unexpected to take control of the room and show deference. Try moving a salt shaker or your water glass for a moment to make yourself feel more confident. It tells your subconscious that you have some control over what's happening around you. You might be surprised at what you can accomplish. Speak less and slowly. You don't need to take up as much space in the conversation. More powerful people tend to speak less than those of lower status. Be reserved about your conversations when you have high status. When you have formalized power and influence, it's critical to be brief when offering a statement or idea, as this will increase your credibility and authority. Influential people are not afraid of silence and understand that awkwardness will sometimes come when they aren't talking just because other people might be uncomfortable. This silent treatment is used by interrogators, job interviewers, and negotiators to gain information. Speaking slowly is a way to take up space in the conversation. It's a way to convey power, thoughtfulness, and calmness. The basic rule of human nature is that people will speak slowly if they don't want their opinions to be ignored. You'd be surprised at how fast you talk. Power doesn't necessarily mean being a jerk, but it does require being warm and present to gain trust. Work on developing your charisma, even if you aren't naturally charismatic to begin with. With time and practice, you'll be able to draw people to you. Warmth. When you achieve warmth, you become approachable, caring, and empathetic. People around you will feel comfortable and at ease. Achieving warmth is a rewarding experience that fulfills the basic human need to be understood, acknowledged, and cared for. Warmth is comforting and reassuring. Even though we wish to be independent, we still want to feel safe and loved. Warmth is one of humanity's most important virtues. It facilitates getting people to notice, though it's not the most vital part in ascertaining how to be charismatically effective. A person with warmth and power will be perceived as powerful, extremely skilled at self-promotion, and eager for praise. People can be tricked into thinking that you're present with them, but warmth is the hardest to fake. Warmth requires the personality of a genuine person. If a man is a man of warmth, he feels that even if the interaction doesn't provide what he wants, it's still worthwhile. There are two essential aspects of a charismatic personality. The first is the emotion itself, personal charisma. The second is the actions that people notice in their interactions with you. This is personally relevant because without personal charisma and magnetism, it's hard to help other people feel comfortable and confident in your presence. There are two main ways to develop your inner warmth. Practice gratitude. Grateful people are more optimistic and happier than those who aren't. Studies show that gratitude increases positivity and is linked to a more prosperous life. Find moments you are feeling grateful and write down what you are grateful for. This will help your perspective on things in general, leading to a relaxed state of contentment. Develop your empathy. Empathy is a powerful tool for developing personal charisma. It helps leaders understand how their followers feel and allows the two to work together to achieve their goals. Becoming a good listener is key to being an empathetic person. It builds strong relationships with people and brings them back to their normal, happy selves. How to convey warmth to others. Think of yourself as the host. When guests come to your house, they must be comfortable. Think about how you would feel in the same situations and try to help the people in the way you want to be helped. Lead with a sincere compliment. Sometimes a compliment can help heal a relationship. A simple compliment could go a long way in helping build trust and promote positive connections. Learn how to be more accepting of compliments too. It might just come in handy. Speak with a warm tone. Smiling when you speak is easy to give your voice warmth. The instant that you do, it will sound warmer. When speaking on the phone, avoiding the use of feelings for your tone is often helpful. However, if you're talking to someone who isn't physically present with you, whatever emotions you share in your voice will be conveyed to them regardless. Mirror their body language. Mirroring techniques can lead to subconscious trust and empathy. Mirroring body language is vital to make yourself appear more credible. By mirroring your conversation partner, you make them feel more at ease, leading to higher levels of trust. Another way to make mirroring look less obvious is to let a few seconds lapse before you move into a mirrored position. Mirroring another person's body language when angry can make them angrier rather than less. Use kind eyes. Some people feel warm, accepted, and understood by others when they are met with kind eyes. Looking into someone's eyes makes them feel more comfortable and trust you more because it allows you to see the inner goodness in someone. There are ways to enhance the eyes so they are kinder, such as with warm contact lenses. When you stare people down, you might come across as aggressive. It can also be seen as intimidating. To look more approachable and friendly, relax your face while focusing on the person's eyes. Smile. Smiling is an easy way to convey warmth. If you smile at someone, they will be more receptive and you will feel warmer yourself. A recent study showed that smiling while feeling down will make you less unhappy. And because of this, psychologists recommend people smile to put their minds in a warmth mindset. Smiling is great for your self-esteem. It makes you more attractive to others and shows that you have good intentions. Characteristics of charismatic leadership. Communication. To be a good leader, it's important to be able to communicate in both one-on-one meetings and group settings. You should listen to your team members and ensure that the message you are trying to relay has relevance, clarity, and understanding for your employees. Body language. The charisma of a leader often comes from body language. A charismatic leader is open and positive and makes eye contact. They also introduce themselves to new acquaintances with joy. Humility. Leaders who demonstrate humility are active and inclusive, promoting diversity and inclusion in their workplace. This type of leadership will show employees how their contributions improve the company's strategic interests and that they are valued workforce members. Substance. Charisma is good, but it has to have a substance. It will garner attention, time, and trust from your employees. Maturity. Charismatic leaders who have substantial personality display maturity and character. Leaders should take the time to listen to their audience and show them what they know in a way that appeals to them. They are accepting and respectful of all individuals, regardless of their identities. In a mature leader, nothing goes unnoticed. They learn from their mistakes and never miss out on opportunities to learn from others. This is the mark of a mature person. One cannot act maturely without accepting their role as an adult and refraining from acting recklessly. Confidence. Every charismatic leader has a high self-confidence level. They must know who they are and do not try to be somebody else. Charismatic leaders must be able to connect with their followers to get them on the same page. They can find ways of doing this, including implementing a reward and recognition program. Impeccable listening skills. When you talk to charismatic leaders, they will listen to what you have to say, and their focus is on you rather than their cell phone. Leaders must be patient to listen to their employees' concerns with utter diligence and without judgment. Chapter 9. Dealing with hate and criticism. Hate versus criticism. Judging is inevitable. It doesn't matter what your choices are. You'll always get some unfriendly opinions. People will judge where you live and how you want to live your life. Sometimes people project their insecurities onto you, and you'll have to manage them. Criticism, in most cases, is helpful and often provides a rational way of improvement. The critic's comments inspire change, not tear you down. They offer advice to make your work better as a whole. On the other hand, hate is a persistent and irrational feeling of anger, hatred, or hostility based on a perceived cultural, ethnic, religious, or gender identity. Hatred can hurt the mental health of victims because it causes them to spend time and energy thinking about the problem while they carry out their routine activities. Haters will use a character attack to try and diminish the opposing position or person. The type of comment is rarely helpful because it seeks to hurt opponents instead of having a constructive discussion. There are two types of criticism: constructive criticism, which is helpful to the person being evaluated, and destructive criticism, used to point out mistakes and failures. Giving someone criticism is not always bad. Criticism can assess an individual's performance against their standards or an organization's. There are 3 essential requirements for constructive feedback to be productive: a trustworthy source, the right audience, and time. People need to give criticism in a way that shows care for others. It should be targeted at the specific points of weakness and have strong suggestions for improvement. Criticism should align with the recipient's emotions and motivations to maximize influence on the receiver. When organizational leaders don't understand how to criticize their employees effectively, it can make people uncomfortable approaching them for help. And when coaches criticize without positive intent, they end up doing things like throwing basketballs at the young adults they're supposed to be mentoring. Recognizing different types of criticism can make it easier for you to take feedback and make appropriate changes. Your inner critic. Some people have a voice that criticizes and judges them, even when the judgments might not be accurate. This voice can cause a lot of stress for the person and lower their self-esteem. Self-doubt and self-consciousness can take a destructive toll on the self-esteem of individuals. The inner critic can undermine the accomplishments and leave feelings of inadequacy or guilt. It's also a struggle to silence this voice in your head. Self-worth can be challenging, so people often face inner mental conflicts. The challenge is figuring out how to overcome the negative thoughts and reject the self-critical voice of criticism as a response. Self-criticism can result from difficult personal experiences, social, cultural, and familial influences, or a side effect of certain diagnosable mental health conditions. Sometimes, the nagging sensation of an inner critic is due to depression or anxiety. People experiencing these conditions sometimes feel chronically inadequate and are highly critical of themselves. Many people seek mental health care to overcome feelings of doubt and low self-esteem. A therapist can help to root out irrational inner critics. Strategies to confront and overcome criticism. Make your criticism your fuel. Negative feedback is an opportunity to show and prove yourself. Use it as fuel for your fire. Don't take it personally. Criticism may be uncomfortable. If you feel offended when someone criticizes your cooking, that sentiment is not helpful and should be avoided. People are not criticizing you. They are merely projecting their own flaws onto you. Ignore false criticism. This is the most effective way to deal with criticism. Sometimes we are criticized without any reason. If it's undeserved, Ignoring it entirely can be the most successful strategy for dealing with it. Criticism is insignificant, and people should not worry about it. It is essential to remain silent and detached when being criticized. By remaining silent, we show others that we are dignified. Be open. Feedback is a must for improving relationships, and to take advantage of criticism, you need to be open to it. Listen carefully, and do not automatically assume the person who criticizes you has bad intentions. Criticism is a part of life, and it's better to get feedback now rather than later. If you are unsure if the criticism is meant to be hurtful, restate what was said so that you can confirm that you both understand. Then, thank the person for their input. Watch your body language. You should be aware of your body language. If you cross your arms and avoid eye contact, it can significantly affect others in the conversation. You should also make sure to breathe slowly and know when you are too stressed to be considered a productive member of the conversation. Although criticism can be tough to take sometimes, being open with your emotions will help you hear the truth more. Schedule a follow-up. Developing a plan for your boss will be well received. It demonstrates you're serious about improvement and should lead to future improvements. Managers are receptive to feedback in this light. They would like to feel like they are a partner in the process of dealing with employees, and engaging in a discussion is an excellent platform for this. Stating your case in a calm and reasonable tone will help the other speaker understand you better. It is healthy for a company to nurture the culture of feedback. Employees should be sure to figure out why they may be more sensitive when receiving criticism. It could simply be down to the individual's inner dialogue or go deeper. Try not to let the opinions of others affect you. Criticism from your coworkers can help you improve. It doesn't have to stop at feedback. Take every opportunity to watch for your mistakes and learn. Focus on the road, not the wall. Criticism should be taken as a chance to improve your work. If you hear nothing but compliments, it's suggested to ask your clients how they can help you better. Keep your head up and lose self-doubt. It's crucial to believe in yourself and know that you have the power to create an optimistic outcome. Focus on what you can do instead of what you can't, and be confident. Chapter 10. Tips and tricks to help you get started. Be interesting. People want a wide range of social skills. That includes knowing how to start conversations, move the conversation along smoothly, and then change the topic when necessary. You must know how to make things exciting and how to wrap things up in an elegant way. When you find yourself in a conversation going nowhere or has run its course, say that you appreciate the time they took to speak with you and then end the exchange. It's all about your demeanor while giving this simple phrase. You can smile and make it seem like it was never weird to talk in the first place. Make small talk. People will only continue to grow their relationship with others when they allow for idle chit-chat. Small talk is integral to personal relationships and can lead to the long-term development of connections. It shows that you are a well-rounded person rather than someone boring or uninterested. Overcome shyness. Though we are all inexperienced at times, we can still feel more confident in social situations when we feel prepared. Preparing for a network is not so different from preparing for your first day of work or school. The fear of new situations is a barrier for many people. You can improve your confidence with time and effort. The invisibility cloak technique is a technique that helps users minimize their fear of social situations. It works by imagining something covers up uncomfortable or embarrassing parts of oneself. Applying positive psychology is a technique that helps people live more effectively by thinking more constructively. If you want to change how you behave to impact your personality, it's unlikely that your character will change the way it is on the inside. Your behavior will ultimately be what changes. One of the quickest ways to eliminate shyness is to surround yourself with people who will not judge you. Almost anyone can overcome shyness. All it takes is a mental shift to rid yourself of the emotion. Keep your confidence up. It's a skill that you can learn and improve every day. Master group conversations. Being in a group can be stressful. The unpredictability of people that may show up and the uncertainty of how to behave can lead to an awkward moment or two. It is normal to feel anxious when you are socializing with new people. Your brain is actually preparing you for your conversation based on the cues from other people and how they interact with others. With the correct tools, however, such as training in communication skills and a positive attitude, one can be confident attending a party. The number one thing you can do to make great impressions in group settings is to be proactive. When you attend a group event, get out there and start contributing. Going out of your way to be rude is not a great way to present yourself, and it can backfire. It's better to focus on your behavior and create the impressions you want people to have about you. One way to initiate a conversation is by bringing up trending topics on social media. It's easy to get the ball rolling in a group conversation and allows you to be proactive. Be more likable. Eye contact is another simple technique that is proven to have a beneficial outcome. As an important tool, it can be a shame that people often neglect to use eye contact. It's important to understand how it affects our communication and how we can effectively use it to convey different messages. Here's a fun exercise to help them improve their technique. Try holding eye contact for a second longer than you normally would. Do this with people in your everyday life, like waiters, baristas, and counters. Using eye contact in your interactions will help build rapport and make the person you speak with feel more connected. It can be difficult at first, but once you've mastered it, your interactions will start to have a more positive outcome. Conclusion. In any setting, social skills are essential to interpersonal communication. The ability to show empathy in conversations or listen closely to clients helps increase productivity and create quality work. Social skills can significantly impact anyone in professional settings. They make it easier for you to communicate with other people, leading to better business relationships and long-lasting friendships. There are many ways to improve your conversations. One way is to find ways to further conversations with friends, family, and close coworkers. Another way to practice conversation skills is by taking time every day to have a conversation in your head with an outline of what you will say when you speak with someone. A third route is practicing conversation skills by asking questions of people around you and having conversations through those exchanges. Start developing your social skills by engaging with people you interact with daily. For instance, if you're out shopping, ask them how their day is going and ask them other questions. You can learn how to improve your conversation skills by speaking with someone who's on the other side of the world. It would be best if you took turns talking and letting them speak so that you both get a chance to practice. It could become a self-fulfilling prophecy if you constantly think negatively about your social interactions. A person afraid of being awkward might view their social interactions as negative and consequently avoid relationships. Working through negative thinking patterns can be challenging, especially if they've been ingrained in your mind for a long time. But with time and practice, you can take control of your thoughts and replace them with more realistic expectations. Don't waste time thinking about things that don't make you progress. Developing good social skills are engaging in small talk, complimenting people on their strengths, smiling more often, and asking questions. Remember, a person's social skills are something they need to practice and develop over time, but with these tips, that can be done easily. So what are you waiting for? Go out, meet new people, socialize, and build new relationships. Introduction. We speak to many people daily, but how much of our communication reaches the intended recipient as we hoped? Being effective communicators means exchanging information with clarity, empathy, and understanding. It's when two people exchange thoughts, ideas, opinions, and knowledge so the message is clear and understood. Effective communication requires clarity, correctness, completeness, conciseness, and compassion. Surveys show that businesses lose money due to poor communication skills. According to the Society for Human Resource Management Studies, poor workplace communication is estimated to cost $37 billion, which translates to an average annual cost of $62.4 million per company and $420,000 for companies with 100,000 or more employees and 100 employees, respectively. Companies with great communicators have 50% higher returns to shareholders than companies with ineffective communicators. Effective communication is an essential skill in the workplace and at home. It ensures that your words are easily understandable and that you can successfully convey your thoughts without confusion. It increases productivity and eliminates the possibility of misunderstandings. I like to think of communication as a two-way process. It includes both how we send and receive messages. It also includes the reading or listening and decoding of messages. Think about it. How would you tell the other person what you want, need, or feel if you don't communicate? Here's the thing. Humans cannot read your mind. You must communicate your thoughts. Communication is essential to the success of humanity. Communication relies on tools like language and body language to expand understanding between people. Communication can happen in many ways, such as writing, speaking, and more. Communication skills include three types: verbal, nonverbal, and written. Verbal skills allow us to express ourselves to others and convey meaning through words. You must choose your words carefully, but you must also pay attention to how you talk and when you speak. Nonverbal skills involve sending messages without speaking via body language or physical movements. Facial expressions and body position hint at how a person feels without having to say anything. Our body language can reveal more than we think. It might show that we're not open to communicating with someone when we say, "I'm good." Written communication. In this era of digital communications, people's interactions are primarily written. Emails and chat messages take up the bulk of conversations, including personal emails and customer service chats. If you're managing a remote team, it's essential to consider your written communication skills. Effective communication skills are a prerequisite for a successful performance on both business and personal levels. Developing a process for communication helps you to understand better what a coworker is saying and will allow you to work with them more collaboratively. It helps us overcome diversity, create trust and respect, and offer the opportunity to share creative ideas and solve problems. That said, communication can be challenging at times because there's a chance of misunderstanding. This can lead to disappointment, frustration, or conflict with others. Strong communication skills will allow you to connect better with friends, colleagues, and your boss. In our personal life, communication can help us understand other people's viewpoints better. It also allows us to avoid conflicts, compromise, and make better decisions. Communication is a lost art that most people need to relearn. In this audiobook, we'll discuss the following: the basics of communication skills, the benefits of communication skills in the modern world, barriers to effective communication and how to overcome them, principles of communication, types of communication styles, how your communication type can affect your message, the art of active listening, constructive criticism, empathy, the power of storytelling. So what are you waiting for? Come with me, and let's unlearn poor communication and relearn effective communication skills. Chapter 1. What is effective communication? Effective communication involves exchanging ideas, thoughts, knowledge, and information with the receiver to meet the sender's intention. Communication takes place in any manner best understood by the receiver. This can be in simple words or complex sentences, as long as they are well understood. Communication is more than just delivering a message. When starting a message, it's important to have a clear purpose. The message should be easily understood and in no way complicated. The information communicated must be complete, clear, and accurate. If the communication is flawed in any way, it may lead to the wrong decisions. The sender must ensure he is conveying the right information and that both parties fully trust one another. What is sent should be concise so that it can be interpreted straightforwardly. Effective communication uses various mediums and settings to accommodate the receiver. Always keep the receiver's need at heart when drafting a message that respects their point of view, which takes practice and experience. The 3 pillars of communication. Ethos. This means ethics, which measures the speaker's reliability. It determines whether the audience will believe in and listen to what is being said. Pathos. This means empathy. Unlike sympathy, a passive state of sorrow, empathy is active and seeks to imagine oneself in the other person's place. Logos. This word means logic, which portrays the strength and power of one's thoughts. It shows the speaker's confidence in their thoughts and how well they are expressed to the audience. For effective communication, one should be credible, understand the feelings of their listeners, and present their ideas to the audience skillfully. We'll discuss some ground rules you should remember when communicating with others later in the audiobook. Benefits of communication skills. Build trust. Effective communication with others builds trust. Listening attentively and accepting diverse points of view shows that you're a leader who is making the optimal decision for everyone in the group. You set an example for those who look up to you, especially if they've never been in this environment. It would be best if you build trust with your team so that they feel confident in their ability to complete tasks in your absence. Conflict resolution. Conflicts can be resolved and prevented by communicating effectively. To do this, keep calm, listen to the other person's point of view, and find a solution that will work for everyone involved. Offer clarity and direction. Effective communication skills can help give teams clear expectations. It also helps ensure you provide feedback that will get people back on track if they have a bad day. They'll work out their roles and responsibilities and those of others on the team. This alleviates confusion and problems. Foster strong relationships. Communication is important in all aspects of life. Listening, considering, and responding to the perspective of others can help create stronger relationships. Increases engagement. Employees will have more confidence in their work, leading to better performance and higher quality of content. According to the most recent studies, only 15% of employees are engaged at work. This means they are very satisfied and committed. If communicated effectively, this statistic could be increased, which would significantly improve employee satisfaction. Improves productivity. Team members need to understand their roles, others' roles, and what's expected of them to avoid disputes. By effectively communicating with others, you can save time and minimize conflicts. These benefits contribute to more productivity in the workplace. Promotes team building. Team members who communicate well will be able to rely on one another. Team members will not feel like they have to do the work for the group. Improved division of labor will lead to positive feelings and improved morale. Improving communication skills is the best way to ensure your team has a good work experience. This makes people feel listened to and understood, which leads to better work environments. Barriers to effective communication. Language barriers. Language can be a barrier to communication. Differences in regional vernaculars, accents, and communicating quirks make messages harder to understand. Imagine being in a company where you always struggle to get your point across because of vocabulary differences. If you've been asked to think outside the box, do something that's never been done before, or be more creative, you're probably familiar with this frustration. Pay attention to frequent misunderstandings, disagreements about unclear messages, and the like. The trick is always to use clear and concise language and avoid figurative language, jargon, and slang. Use visual elements to illustrate important points in critical documents. Other tools like Grammarly Business can help improve the fluency of your writing too. Cultural barriers. Communication barriers often stem from differences in social norms and values. You'll be much more inclusive when you're aware of ethnocentrism or the assumption that all cultures share your values and beliefs. The key is to understand the different rules for etiquette in different cultures and self-educate on these cultural differences. You need to be aware of instances where you or your team may exhibit ethnocentric behavior or stereotypes or feel ostracized, which likely leads to people avoiding one another. To get past cultural barriers, consider implementing sensitivity training sessions and one-on-one meetings. Establish clear workplace etiquette and brand culture rules but be open to changing them as your team evolves. Instilling a culture, whether at home or at work, builds camaraderie, creates unity, and breaks down cultural barriers. Physical barriers. Working remotely is becoming increasingly common, and people may find themselves thousands of miles away from the team. Without a strong connection, things such as communication can be limited and distractions will inevitably arise. Excessive tardiness in the workplace usually means a problem with demotivation or physical distractions. To address physical barriers to communication in the workplace, companies should keep up with the latest telecommunication technologies and provide employees with a comfortable environment. Also, offer private, closed offices for employees to collaborate or work without interruptions. The best strategy is to seat employees who work closely together in the same area. Psychological barriers. Conflicts are inevitable in any home or workplace, but they can cause serious problems when people's differing opinions clash. Differing communication styles will hinder a team's productivity. A lack of trust can make communication difficult. If employees feel unheard or unsupported, they'll struggle to excel. Watch out for a lack of employee feedback, an increased number of employees going on vacation, and a lack of collaboration between team members or teams. You overcome psychological barriers with training and resources or mandatory anti-harassment training. Create a trusting environment by attending team-building events and encourage open and honest communication. Technological barriers. Technological barriers to communication aren't always based on the tools themselves, but on whether the person using them has been adequately trained. To ensure success in using these technologies, it's important to regularly update your hardware and invest in the right communication tools. You should also build up your capacity by checking out training courses. For example, suppose you notice a frequent rate of technology failures, slow or poorly performing platforms, or misuse of technology due to a lack of understanding. In that case, this is a sign of a technological barrier to effective communication. One way to address technological barriers to communication in the workplace is by upgrading or replacing technology as needed. Other methods include training and resources for employees to use new technologies as they become available. You should use communication tools with multiple functions compatible with your existing structures and workflows to have a successful brand. Set up rules for when to use specific platforms in your style guide. Organizational barriers. Successful businesses need to be able to communicate effectively. Employees may not know how to share or request information. This could be because of organizational barriers within the business. Communication silos and bottlenecks are common symptoms of an organizational problem. It may be time to reevaluate the structure or clarify roles and expectations. When team members frequently contact the wrong individual for information, vital information gets lost or delayed. This is a sign of an organizational barrier to communication. One way to address organizational barriers is to create a clear organizational structure. This includes roles and contact information and ensures it's easily accessible and included in new hire orientations. Review any changes to how you communicate promptly, both in writing and in person. Periodically audit these changes and revise them as your organization evolves. That said, there is no one type of communication barrier that will affect every person or team in an organization. Every team will have different needs and experience various challenges when it comes to communicating. You must break through these barriers if you want to have long-term success. How you communicate can be improved by looking at more aspects of your personality and your situation. When you're speaking to someone, take a moment to think about what they might be feeling and how you might be making them feel. This is the first step in improving your relationships. Chapter 2. Principles of Effective Communication. Communication is essential in keeping the harmony of a relationship alive. Effective communication should have a clear purpose and be delivered in the right place at the right time with the right audience. If you're struggling to convey your message concisely, you should use short, punchy statements, diagrams, and images. With the right visual design, a company's message will be easy to absorb and bring people closer to making a decision. Not only that, but you also want your designs to help convey the type of messaging you're going for, along with strategy and brand guidelines. Your messages should focus on logical conclusions and a call to action. Similar to the need of active communication, you should consider incorporating implicit notifications that are high priority or essential. These would draw attention and be able to direct users' attention intuitively, without overwhelming them with irrelevant data. Comprehensive. When writing a message, it's important to make sure that everything necessary is included. What is necessary for one use could be unnecessary or not needed for another. It's crucial to make the recipient's experience easy. For example, if you ask for a call to action, provide explicit guidance on what that action should be. This helps make written communications more efficient and ensures that the critical points of your message are always communicated. Companies should provide enough information to their customers and deliver it efficiently and effectively to avoid confusion. There are cases where one cannot communicate everything in a single message. Therefore, if you have more to say, make sure you indicate it with a link to additional supporting information and when the appropriate time is to chat. Clarity. The purpose of a message should be clear, and the intended recipient should understand it in the way you want to convey it. This isn't easy, though, so get creative when being expressive with your words. Before you begin a conversation or email with someone, make sure that your goal or purpose is clear. Also, clarify the language, assumptions, and mechanics of communication. Sentences should be short and in the active voice, with key elements stated explicitly. It's important to spell out what the point is. Otherwise, nobody will be able to understand it. A sender's choice of words can make a big difference in how they're received. A speaker should be aware of their community's cultural and social norms and attempt to use words that are not offensive or hurtful. Attention and style. Communication is a problem for people with different levels of attention, behavior, and emotions. Different roles have different preferences in receiving messages. This makes it challenging to create one message that accommodates them. When communicating with senior staff, it's necessary to use the correct channels. If that doesn't seem to be happening, it might be better to revisit your methods. Communications that may seem informal can sometimes provide an idea of how people are responding to policies. Both types should follow the sentiments of your organization's business values and policies, generally positive, open, honest, and respectful. To make a message effective, attention needs to be drawn to it. People may have different feelings about messages and act differently based on what's said. The recipient should react accordingly. Coherency. Much of our communication takes place across multiple tools and formats. It's important to make sure that communication remains logical and well-planned, ensuring continuity in your message. For your communication to be considered, it must have a logical flow that is consistent and concise. It would be best if you also kept in mind tone and language when progressing through to ensure a coherent style. Make sure all your messages say the same thing without contradicting one another. Organizations should connect their messages to their company values and the context of company relationships. Communication should be consistent with the goals and initiatives for the organization's well-being. Timeliness and urgency. Messages must be communicated appropriately and have enough impact to be acted upon. You should be able to differentiate important things from non-important things and understand the time frame for any actions. Confidence that your message reaches your intended audience is a fundamental requirement in communication. However, this should be accompanied by an understanding of when specific actions need to happen based on a time scale. Chapter 3. Types of communication styles. Communication styles vary across different societies and cultures. Developing effective verbal or written communication comes down to knowing the right style. Below are the 8 major communication styles used in different situations to ensure your audience's message is heard and understood. Direct and indirect. A direct communication style is one where you speak your mind clearly and concisely so that other people understand. To be a direct communicator, you must use concise language and ideas, which might not be for everyone. When people employ a style that uses indirect communication, you may find it challenging to know what they are looking to achieve. The content of the conversation can be hard to decipher, even if they're not outright telling you what they need. Indirect communication often relies on subtle signs, which the person on the receiving end may misinterpret. Whether to use direct or indirect methods is a personal preference. The best way to get your message across may differ on different occasions. Assertive communication style. Assertive communication is healthy for you and allows you to speak more easily. It's a great way to promote yourself, maintain high self-esteem, and get what you want from the conversation. Assertiveness is a style of communication that makes you feel confident in responding to others without being pushed beyond your limits. Those who use an assertive communication style will prioritize their own opinions, rights, and needs while not hurting others on the way. They know how to express themselves and their emotions without judgment. When communicating assertively, you take responsibility for your choices and express your feelings. This type of communication will help bring a sense of acceptance around issues that may arise when two people communicate with one another in different ways. Body language is a valuable tool for understanding the person you're engaging with. It can help you be more assertive without being aggressive, which leaves your recipients feeling respected and heard. Aggressive communication style. An aggressive communication style involves winning at the expense of other people. People who employ this have a sense of entitlement and feel like their needs are more important than others. This is not a successful way of communicating because people will be more focused on the tone of your message than its content. Aggressive communication is often used to achieve a point in the short term. However, this is sometimes not a good way to go. People at risk for this type of communication are often seen as aggressive and rude, which intimidates others. Many people avoid confrontation because they fear being met with aggression. This leaves people feeling more hurt, humiliated, uncooperative, and afraid. This type of interaction can go on for a very long time until someone can walk away from the situation healthily. It's never a good idea to get into an argument with someone aggressive. They'll likely result in physical violence, and it may be hard for you to report any mistakes or problems made. Passive communication style. Passive communication is easygoing, people-pleasing, and submissive. People who communicate this way generally let more assertive or aggressive people take the lead. Passive communication is often courteous and amiable, although aggressive communicators may view it as easy to push around or disrespectful. Passive communicators are often overlooked by those around them who can't read their body language and facial expressions. This often leads to resentment and unhealthy codependency. It's essential to be assertive in your communication. Not only does it teach you how to advocate for yourself, but it also helps you to make clear decisions about what you want. However, if a client is temperamental or domineering, asking them politely can be the best option. Passive-aggressive communication style. A passive-aggressive communication style is an indicator of an individual with low power. Prisoners will use this strategy to take control and maintain themselves in situations where they are powerless. Passive-aggressive people often hide their feelings of powerlessness by subtly undermining the person or thing they resent. They may sabotage themselves unintentionally. Some people use cloying, clinging, and over-the-top gestures and words to get their desired power. These people are often hurtful and offensive to those around them. They're not worth the time or attention of others. Passive-aggressive personalities use a sweet voice that sounds kind to trick people into their trap. While it may seem that a toxic and aggressive person is effective, the results are often negligible in the long term. This can lead to resentment from those on the receiving end, negatively influencing their work and engagement in future iterations of an assignment or project. People will not believe in sincerity when doing business with you because they don't trust you. Manipulative communication style. People who use manipulative communication styles are skilled in manipulating others for their benefit. They have spoken words that hide the truth and know how to influence others without knowing what's going on. Manipulation often comes at a cost and can come at the expense of others. It should be used as an effective method when it benefits the majority instead of only one person. Manipulative people are exploitative and can make it hard to say no. They use emotions like guilt, fear, and pity to try and convince others of something. It can be challenging to know what type of personality is manipulative and which is not. This makes it hard for employees, particularly leaders, to manage their teams effectively and ensure that trust is established. The submissive style. People who use a submissive style seek to please others and avoid conflict. They'll put other people's needs ahead of theirs because they view others' needs as more important than their own. Their contribution will not be very high because they perceive that they're not being treated like others. They feel apologetic and are likely to yield and not speak up, even when they have something important they need to express. When you use a submissive style, others will often take advantage of you. You'll never be responsible for anything and blame others when something goes wrong. When resentment builds up, it can make it difficult to discuss your concerns openly with people. Chapter 4. How your communication type can affect your message. Communication styles are personal and vary with the speaker or writer. It's important to recognize the differences in each style because different styles are appropriate for different contexts. There are several types of styles that each provide a unique and personalized experience for you and your audience. What makes it most important for someone to create content as an influencer is to have a unique message tailored specifically for your audience to deliver the most effective result. Analytical. Analytical communication is about providing clarity and understanding to the world around you. If a message does not make sense, the receiver will not receive it well. You must understand your audience to connect with them and speak their language. Analytical people use logic and facts to support their arguments. They don't respond well to vague language. They believe that the more specific and in-depth the communication, the stronger it is. When connecting with an analytical colleague, be direct and specific. Analytical people may find small talk tedious, so stick to discussing what's most important, and the more evidence you provide, the more interested they will be. Write down your thoughts and ensure they are spelled and grammatically perfect before sending them. Avoid emotion in your communication. Your tone should be professional. Empathy is key to success, but you should focus more on data than emotions in this situation. Collaborative projects require people with different skill sets to work together to achieve goals. A brand campaign should be supported by an actionable plan that has specific metrics and goals so the success is measurable. Analytical communicators will rely on logic, facts, and numbers. They focus more on their point with less emotion and rely on hunches. However, they have almost always got the numbers at their fingertips. They approach problem-solving logically and can handle those questions they don't know how to solve by quickly finding out what they need to know. Functional. People who like to follow clear guidelines when doing something often have a functional communication style. It's not surprising that they share some qualities with analytical people. They are very particular about and task information if they are set up during the design process. It allows them to do their work at its best. When encountering someone who communicates this way, remember to be as thorough as you can so that you don't frustrate them. Preparing for a verbal exchange with written materials is important to communicate your ideas as clearly and precisely as possible. This could include writing and practicing both your verbal and written communication skills. It's important to encourage discourse and make your business's resources available to help. One way to achieve that is by being willing to answer questions. As a functional communicator, discussing any unexpected issues with your team is essential. If you've not been able to understand the matter thoroughly or need feedback related to your work product, you must express interest in hearing other perspectives. Intuitive. An intuitive communication style is one of the most important traits for someone who enjoys thinking creatively. They are most interested in the long-term vision of a project rather than data or minute details, which allows them to stay focused on the big picture. The most effective way to connect with a colleague is by providing a bird's-eye view of the issue. Intuitive individuals derive motivation from understanding the impact of their actions in the context of the bigger picture. Discuss only the critical issues for your team members to know about. Just because you can't cover everything doesn't mean you should over-explain anything. Nurture inspiration by providing space for new ideas and being empathetic to employees. That said, you can find an exemplary communicator by paying close attention to their approach and skill set. Creative and insightful communicators are an excellent match for your business as they are open to exploring new opportunities, creative solutions, and ways of approaching problems. They are also less likely to get bored or overwhelmed by overly detailed tasks and have a knack for succinctly getting to the point. Personal. More often, this style is diplomatic and tactful. They often see things from a macro perspective, which helps them solve issues better. And just like other intuitive personalities, They focus on the big picture rather than being concerned with the small details. When communicating with someone who has a more intuitive style, we should make an effort to connect first. This will help us avoid some potential miscommunication. Whether you're emailing, tweeting, or even talking to a peer on the phone, you must use the right tone. Your tone reflects more than your personality. It helps drive your communication and could even significantly impact how people react to what you say. Use a tone detector so you know how you come across in written presentations. Providing context to support one's thoughts can help make a person feel more confident about their next decision. As a manager, it's important to want to provide feedback on your direct report's performance evaluation. Starting with a discussion of individual aspects of the performance and using a personal communicator will create space for an open discussion. If a person is emotionally open and expressive, they'll be an ideal candidate as a personal communicator. This can be identified by asking about their communication style, telling you their favorite type of conversation starters, and noting their reaction to others who share purely data-driven opinions. When meeting someone new, you might want a quick gauge of their communication style. Ask them what they're most interested in hearing, which will help you know how to interact with them. Analytical people are more likely to ask for data and figures. Intuitive people will ask questions about the objective of their work. Functional communication seeks to understand the process of a certain situation. Personal style is typically used to have more deep conversations. So, why does it matter to understand the different communication styles? Familiarizing yourself with different business communication styles will allow you to recognize how others want to connect to you. You can avoid conflicts and manage any difficulties that might arise in the workplace. It will also help you identify where your strengths lie and where they need improvement. Effective communication is the key to a fruitful workplace relationship. Clear and effective communication will ensure your message is understood the way you intended it to be, avoiding other misunderstandings and miscommunications. Chapter 5. The Art of Active Listening. Listening is a valuable skill to harness in today's world. It has become challenging for people to focus on conversations due to distractions that come from technology. Today, technology is enhancing communication even more than ever. However, this ability to use new technology can lead to decreased interpersonal skills and a higher demand for high-level communication skills. Listening is an essential life skill. In today's modern world, listening carefully is crucial for developing empathy for others and is also considered a necessity in the workplace when social dynamics are at play. To improve listening rates, people should practice conscious and mindful listening daily. The 3 levels of listening. Some people constantly multitask when they're engaged in a conversation or meeting. They can hear an employee as she speaks, but they also listen to their text messages or watch television simultaneously. This behavior makes it difficult for others to understand them and makes them seem rude. The 3 levels of listening are absent, partial, and full. They are often misunderstood, and people always use the wrong levels. Absent listening. There are several reasons for the lack of listening, especially when the speaker and listeners are on different wavelengths due to a lack of concentration and physical involvement. It's not easy to focus or listen to the conversation as it unfolds. Partial listening. Partial listening is when you hear most of the speaker's words with reduced attention and modest concentration. This can cause problems in identifying essential things the speaker says, leading to errors. You respond based on overall impressions without addressing the details mentioned by the speaker. Full listening is when 2 people are engaged in a conversation. Most or all of the information can be absorbed, and a reply to the other person is put out. This engagement requires your fullest attention, concentration, and good eye contact. Sometimes a person gets lost in their thoughts, and they don't realize it until they miss out on what someone else is saying. In addition, this can lead to miscommunication and misunderstanding, resulting in conflict or decreased productivity. Our brains are usually distracted by various things, making it difficult to focus and listen. Environmental barriers such as background noise, the distance between the speaker and the listener, poor seating arrangement, and interruption by unexpected events can make it challenging to communicate. Speaking too fast or using an incomprehensible accent is a significant barrier for people who are not native speakers of a language. Not objecting to what the speaker is saying and speaking without having a clear idea of what you are trying to say can also pose difficult obstacles for people not fluent in the language. There are internal barriers that could hinder listening to the speaker. For instance, if you can't put your full attention into what the speaker is saying, you're probably not going to be able to understand them. Additionally, if your mind drifts too far off in an unrelated direction, it may hurt your ability to listen and comprehend what's being said. When you have a preconceived idea and make assumptions about what the other person is saying without allowing them to elaborate, you are being defensive and are not truly listening. You may be unwilling to let someone else's opinion help shape your own. The experience filter allows one to project themselves onto another person to understand the situation even if their life experiences differ. This can be difficult, but it helps solve many people's interpersonal issues. A mood filter also helps you customize your responses to the other person's words. This helps you feel either positively or negatively affected and enables you to respond in a way that makes sense for the situation. Ways to improve our active listening skills. Pay attention. Listen to the person speaking. Give your undivided attention and be engaged with them. Suppose you're in a situation where you need a moment to finish preparing before the meeting begins. In that case, it's always intelligent to politely ask for a few minutes before shifting your attention. This shows that you care and are considered polite. Try to clear your mind before you have a conversation with someone else, and make sure not to let distractions or anything else get in the way. Focus on what the other person is trying to say and notice their body language and tone of their voice, even if they're subtle. Not all conversations are meant to be a fast switcheroo. Sometimes it's best to take note and digest what's being said before jumping back into the conversation. Withhold judgment. It's often thought that we judge somebody by how they speak, their different views, or not knowing them well enough when we meet them. It's important to be open-minded and understand what the other person has to say instead of imposing your interpretation of their opinion. In the long term, it will benefit you since you will become better at communicating and understanding different sides of an argument. Patience. Interrupting someone while they are speaking is rude. If you must say something, wait until they've finished their sentence so you can get a better understanding of what they meant. Learn to give up control and give the speaker as much time as needed to finish the conversation. Notice your conversation partner's physical cues and responses to context. Some common examples of these cues are when they lean back, put their hands up to signal that they're done talking, or when they end a question with an expected answer. After taking some time to think about the exchange, you may feel comfortable responding. Body language. Give confident, focused eye contact. This will communicate interest and ensure the other person stays engaged. Asking people questions can be a great way to keep the conversation going while staying cheerful, nodding, smiling, and maintaining eye contact. By following these 3 steps throughout the conversation, you can create a lot of rapport that will help the person you're talking to feel more engaged. Questions. I like what Tim Ferriss once said. The way you become world-class is by asking good questions. Questions are the best way to get information. They drive a conversation and help you get the answers you want. Be careful when asking closed or leading questions. They may not provide any real answers and might lead to inaction. Asking open-ended questions allows people to express themselves more freely and lead to richer discussions. Questions are always good when you're trying to gain information from others. Incorporating this skill in your daily conversations will lead to better dialogues and interactions with the people you speak to, which could lead to new insights for your business. Additionally, rephrasing what the other person has said lets you understand their point of view more clearly and provides reassurance that their feedback has been heard. You can use this strategy to refocus the conversation on a specific point you want to discuss more. Active listening is an important skill to forge interpersonal connections. By acting as a good, active listener, you can make friends and build trust with people around you. Start by deliberately practicing these techniques with everyone you meet. When you're engaged in conversation, pay close attention to what other people are saying and let them know how you feel. Chapter 6. Constructive Criticism. Getting used to receiving and offering feedback is important in a professional setting, but it can be difficult. However, getting comfortable with receiving criticism is fundamental for our professional development. Stop taking criticism personally. It would be best if you did not approach it as an attack on your character, but instead as an opportunity to improve. So, what is constructive criticism? Constructive criticism is a method people use to give feedback. The method creates a positive work environment and allows someone to feel safe. It also provides specific, actionable recommendations that help improve the situation and facilitate growth and progress. So, what is the difference between constructive and destructive criticism? Constructive criticism is usually delivered with care and support. It focuses on the positives and helps a person to improve. Destructive criticisms are typically hostile, vague, focused on the negative, and do not offer any encouragement or support for improvement. Often, they lower morale and reduce confidence. It's critical to provide feedback that identifies areas of improvement and ways to minimize mistakes. Such criticism provides the recipient with a concrete path for improving their work and an opportunity to resolve conflicts proactively. Benefits of constructive criticism. Offers specific and timely feedback. Feedback is always valuable. One success in the workplace can be a direct result of some quick actions taken in response to a specific piece of feedback. Constructive criticism is advising on a particular improvement. It comes with a positive intent of helping one improve their future performance. Promotes growth. Criticism that focuses on improving is more likely to provide people with the motivation they need to reach their full potential. Offering a different perspective allows employees to see themselves as well-rounded individuals who can reach new heights and achieve more than they initially thought possible. Builds trust. Criticism is a way of strengthening the relationship between people, e.g., employees and managers. When managers show that they appreciate the time and effort of their employees, it builds trust and a sense of belonging. It also creates a rewarding work environment for all involved. Good feedback can be painful. Criticism always has to sting, as it helps the recipient learn about their weaknesses and helps them get ahead. Employees will feel good about their work and be happy to apply the pointers from feedback. 4 elements of a constructive criticism. Specific. Be concise and direct when providing feedback to others. Avoid vague language and beating around the bush. Give people a specific instance rather than hypothetical scenarios. Outline the specific steps they can take to improve their performance. Help them with their feedback by role-playing and simplifying instructions. Timely. Providing feedback when it's most relevant is critical to ensure that the person you're giving feedback to understands where they went wrong and how to fix it. An immediate response to your feedback will allow the person who received it to associate with you. This increases the likelihood that they'll retain the feedback and improve their work. Positive. If someone is criticizing you, they generally have an ulterior motive. Listen to their concern and work toward a solution that considers their needs and wants. The best way to build self-esteem at work is to understand the needs of the employee and provide coaching as they develop their skills. Establish a time to review progress and revisit your agreement in a week or 2. Understanding. Discuss with the employee the problem and how they could have found a workaround. Offer assistance if needed. Paying close attention to others' perspectives and ideas can go a long way in improving productivity. Your understanding can make the whole difference. Use it as an opportunity for growth. It would be best if you took time after constructive criticism to process the feedback. Reflecting is a valuable way to harness your employees' insights. It allows you to find ways to improve, what additional training they may need, and prompts thoughts about how you can keep them motivated. Staffs are the lifeblood of any business, so it's essential to ensure they're happy and satisfied. Plus, monthly Staff of the Month is also a good idea to relay other success stories and opportunities for more growth. When is it appropriate to use and why? Constructive criticism is more valuable in situations when there's been a violation of rules or if it's ineffectual. The key here is to provide follow-up guidance. The person being guided will change their behavior if they know what to change and how to make it. It's important to have conversations about discrepancies in behavior. This ensures that the person you're working with clearly understands how they should act. It also helps to avoid any negative consequences in the future. Why does it need to be constructive? When people are given constructive criticism, they can avoid negative feelings and promote trust because it provides a respectful way of delivering improvements in behavior. constructive criticism can help to motivate employees and better engagement. On the other hand, non-constructive feedback can cause negative outcomes for employees. Poorly delivered feedback can cause even worse long-term effects, such as decreased motivation and engagement. Giving constructive criticism can boost morale and motivation. Focus on the future to get the most out of your criticism. Feedback should be focused on future performance and opportunities for growth. Punishments are not necessary when there's a focus on creating a successful team, which creates intrinsic motivation to strive for success. Examples of constructive criticism. In communication, effective communication is often difficult when employees are afraid to ask questions or discuss concerns. To prevent employees from feeling restricted in their hard work, establish clear expectations that meet your needs and react favorably to amends from your staff. This will encourage strong communication and a sense of teamwork within the office. Let us consider an instance where an employee struggles to speak up about challenges in the office. How do you give them constructive criticism? Hi, John. I'd love to hear about your project so far. Do you have any questions or concerns? I want to help you where you might be facing challenges. Please keep me posted so I know the progress and what needs my help. In case of missed deadlines. When deadlines are missed, it can indicate a lack of organization or issues with time management. Discuss the missed deadline with your coworker and offer help where you can. You can say something like, "Hi, Mary. I appreciate your work's attention to detail and quality. I'm just concerned about a few missed deadlines that I noticed. Sometimes things move fast here, and I have some time management tricks you might want to consider. But before that, is there something specific causing these delays? I'll be happy to help you move things along." In collaborations. Collaboration is critical for team success. Through collaboration, employees can make a difference in their areas of expertise and grow their skills within the company. But how would you offer constructive feedback to an employee struggling to work in a team? "Hi, Patrick. Your resourcefulness and problem-solving skills are admirable, especially as you should see them as a gift. However, it would be best if you shared your expertise with others in the office who need it as a way of building capacity. This way, you can also have an opportunity to learn something valuable from your colleagues too. It would be nice if we set up weekly brainstorming sessions with the team." In performance appraisal. Performance evaluations are an opportunity to communicate with employees how they feel about their performance. By asking them specific questions, you give them a chance to improve areas you think need improvement. The best way for employers to get the most out of their employees is by soliciting their opinion on how they're doing and suggesting ways to improve. This will help them identify flaws in their performance and take steps to correct them. You could say, "Hi, Jane. You mentioned earlier that it takes you a bit longer to complete a project. Based on past projects, most of this time is spent troubleshooting and solving problems. I think this is what prolongs project turnaround. In future projects, would you try limiting troubleshooting to just an hour, after which you can escalate the issue for the rest of the team for help? This way, you can close projects much faster." Tips on how to give constructive criticism. The sandwich method. The sandwich method is a way of putting one positive criticism next to a different positive criticism to make them stick out more. Instead of criticizing the person, the sandwich method is used by some people as a way of complimenting. Here, the feedback is broken into 3 segments: positive, improvement, positive. Hence, it is also called the PIP method. At first, you'll need to pick out the things you like about the item. Next, you'll put those strengths into a more specific context by outlining why they're important, explaining why they work well within a specific event or situation, and then pointing out any opportunities for improvement. Finally, close off the feedback by reiterating what's been said and the positive results expected if the criticism is followed through. Constructive criticism is always better when you give it to someone after first telling them about their success. It's less confrontational and therefore more productive for both parties when the receiver can see what you're trying to do instead of being talked to in a "you're wrong" manner. Communication is the cornerstone of any relationship, and it's important to remember that to create a positive work environment, you must be able to share your concerns objectively. It would be best if you ended with a positive message by sharing more positives that your team could be proud of. The final statement will improve morale and leave others feeling uplifted rather than feeling like they've just been told what you think. Sometimes, the best way to help another person to understand is to give them a critique. Explain in detail what you pick out as a problematic issue, and then provide suggestions on how they can best address it. The feedback sandwich is most effective when used to avoid criticism and praise. The point of the feedback sandwich is not to engage in fake praise or butter up others. The feedback sandwich is a great way to practice emotional generosity. It can help the person learn what they're doing well and share what can be improved. Focus on the situation. When giving or receiving criticism, focus on the situation. This is not an opportunity to attack the other person. To eliminate the chances of miscommunications, be direct and avoid unnecessary passive hostile words. To make your feedback more effective, use I-centered language. Phrases like I think, I feel, and I would like to add will help the person receiving the feedback understand it's about the situation or behavior instead of you as a person. Be specific. When giving constructive criticism, be as specific as possible. One way is to list out the objections in detail and communicate those to your workers effectively. A vague comment is unclear, but when you're specific, it helps clarify. Implementing this method will help others understand what they're explicitly doing in their jobs and also be more productive than being lost and confused. You should make your focus points objective and not subjective while offering suggestions to your team. What you should do is provide key points of feedback and a clear call-out for clarity to make your point. This feedback loop helps others understand their work requirements better. It also gives them a sense of agency, allowing them to feel more in control of their work environment. Give recommendations on how to improve. As time goes on, you'll start to see what improvements need to be made. It's important to be selective in giving your employees tips for improvement so that things don't get misinterpreted. Be open to communication and listen to what your employees have to say. Do not assume. It would be best if you did not assume people's intentions are what they say. Instead, always try to observe your team members' reactions and ensure that their feedback does not upset them. Always make sure you're giving the other person the right advice. If you're unsure of the facts, it's best to refrain from providing suggestions until more information is gathered. Giving constructive criticism is not always easy, and recipients may struggle with receiving it. Leaders, managers, and employees must work together to produce the best result. Feedback is a necessary part of any relationship. Your employees must know how to improve their skills. It doesn't mean you're trying to harm their persona or show disrespect. So, how do you receive criticism? One way to accept constructive criticism is to take a deep breath and not to react in anger. It's not always easy to handle criticism, but you should always try to understand the person's motives and how they feel. It can help identify misunderstandings if you listen actively and be able to thank them for their efforts in helping you improve. Chapter 7. Empathy. Brands and content creators are turning to empathy as a theme of interest. They're trying to focus on the emotions of others and how they can better understand their pain. Organizations are starting to prioritize empathy in their communications more. Do you know why? Simple. Empathy starts with listening, the first step to successful engagement. Empathy is a process of understanding other people's perspectives, feeling what they feel, and sharing that with them. Our brains are wired to experience other people's emotions, which makes communication effective and relationships harmonious. Research shows that an empathic connection between coworkers leads to higher performance. This is because employees who feel listened to and understood perform better than their coworkers who do not have such connections. But is everyone naturally empathetic? No. Today we can empathize with others through an increasingly broad range of channels. Poor empathy skills are not just an individual issue, they can also indicate a larger cultural problem. Some people are good at understanding how other people feel, and others are not. Some people notice you're angry when you start yelling. Others understand your anger from the get-go. No matter the starting point, you can learn to be in tune with others and show your empathy in your day-to-day interactions. Here's what your empathy teaches us. To understand oneself. You have to understand and accept your feelings to understand the emotions of others, especially those who you interact with regularly. Understanding and accepting your feelings is essential to health and mental well-being. To understand others. You can learn to understand others by practicing. It requires your committal to thoughtfulness. By taking away the mystery and steps, it becomes easier to build relationships with people that are both personally fulfilling and lead you to greater recognition and success in your career and life as a whole. To master nonverbal communication. Understanding what someone else is feeling can be invaluable. To use verbal and nonverbal communication well, you must use empathy. This could help you determine when speaking up or promoting interaction is appropriate. Why exactly is empathy so important for us? We are social beings. It's impossible to get by in life without talking to other humans. The ability to read others' motives and emotions allows one to perceive how they want to be treated, and more importantly, what they need from you. It's also a great way to understand how others perceive them to make any necessary adjustments. Career and business growth. Building a good business relationship is about understanding your audience. To build trust, you must understand your audience's needs, wants, and expectations. Empathy is a process that makes everything healthy and organized. Whether you're trying to build trust-based marketing or create healthy cooperations with your colleagues, it will benefit everyone involved. A better understanding of nonverbal cues. Communication is more than words and can be challenging to understand at times. Understanding what someone means in a conversation is something that many people struggle with. People who have difficulty understanding others often have trouble reading between the lines of conversations and are more likely to miss essential discussions they do not hear. Better conflict resolution. When you understand the other party's needs, reaching a win-win situation becomes easier. You can avoid misunderstandings by blindly grasping for a solution and focusing on finding mutually beneficial solutions instead. Convinces and motivates others. When you can see the world from someone else's point of view and see their motives, feelings, and preconceptions, you'll find it much easier to convince others of your point of view and motivate them to do something. Different people across the world have different needs and motivations. It can be really easy to misjudge if you aren't ready for that, which is why empathy is important for understanding a given person quickly. Broadens your horizons. Empathy has been proven to help people understand the world holistically and live more fulfilling lives. It increases understanding of the world and provides valuable insight into how your actions can impact others. Empathy makes us human. We need to practice empathy in order to be successful, fulfilled humans. Barriers to empathic communication. Lack of skills. Empathy is something we can cultivate and develop like any other skill. That's how learning to empathize can help you master any skill. To master a skill, we need input from the people in our surroundings. When our family members don't ask for or value our opinion, it is difficult for us to communicate with them in the way we want. We may find more repeated efforts for them to be dismissive and ignore our feelings. Above all, this can make us feel adrift and hopeless due to a lack of empathy for them. When we grow up in such an environment, we easily slip into the same patterns when interacting with the people we work with. A lack of empathy can lead to problems in the workplace. It causes a lack of care for peers and teammates. It leads to difficulties in apologizing, being indifferent, and not listening to others. Lack of time. Lack of time is a common reason people cannot sustain meaningful relationships or perform high-quality work. Many struggle with juggling work and life responsibilities, which can be one of the biggest obstacles to a well-rounded life. Sometimes, the tasks we have to do can be too much for us and stress us out. When people feel overwhelmed and have difficulty prioritizing their needs, they may be disrespectful, rude, and indifferent. Lack of focus. Sometimes, during a conversation or project, we can be distracted and unable to focus on the task. This is because our attention is occasionally out of focus or on unnecessary things. It can be challenging to commit to the conversation or project when this happens entirely. Communication may get lost if the remote workers can't feel what the team member is saying. This may lead to a lack of empathy and understanding. Negative judgment. Negative judgments, bias, and stigma are old but damaging communication disruptors. When people are clouded by negative thoughts about a person or group of people, their ability to empathize and communicate with them is hindered. even seemingly rational people may not recognize the potential for bias against outsiders when interacting with them. We may all have biases, but it's essential to realize that they should have minimal impact on our behavior and communications. Try looking for other ways to communicate your message without judgment, bias, or stigma. Anger. Sometimes we say things we don't mean and have difficulty maintaining high levels of empathy. But even in cases like these, it's difficult to communicate with our team members effectively. At times, anger is just an emotion that hides other feelings like hurt, fear, and shame. Communicating these emotions with empathy and honesty will lead to a more positive outcome for everyone involved. Tips for developing empathy in communication. Practice active listening. To develop empathy, it's essential to improve your listening skills. Listen closely to others during a conversation fully to understand their information. Avoid multitasking or letting your mind wander while you're with them. When we practice listening, we get information that allows us to collaborate better. Once they are done talking, summarize what the person said and then ask follow-up questions. This will help you make sure you understand their thoughts and can also be a nice gesture that shows your respect for them. Allowing others to express their opinions is effective because they'll likely share their insights and thoughts. Master different communication styles. People come in all different forms. Some are extroverted, some are introverted, while others find themselves somewhere in the middle. Understanding the different styles of those around you and adjusting your communication accordingly can improve your skills and make more productive conversations. Many introverts need one-on-one time interacting with others to avoid feeling drained or avoiding small talk. A more direct and less engaging approach may be an excellent way to start a conversation. Extroverts are energized in group settings as they'll often feel more comfortable discussing their thoughts before concluding. It's important to give them the space to share their insight. Instead of chastising them for being too chatty, encourage them to pause when talking to their quieter colleagues. You can also progress meetings by sharing an agenda ahead of time and letting everyone know about the upcoming topics. If coworkers feel left out of the group conversation, ensure you're aware of their communication preferences. Remember to encourage open discussion to help make everyone feel included. Evaluate your communication style. It's important to recognize the communication style of others, but it's also important to objectively assess how you communicate. You might think a coworker not close to you would not give an objective assessment, so having them describe their thoughts on your communication style might be insightful. Give honest feedback to people when you make them feel valued. The feedback will be most valuable if it makes the person feel how they want. Analyze your strengths and weaknesses. Discuss the areas where you need to improve and how you can do so. If someone says you're a great sounding board for complex problems, thank them for their compliment and take it as an opportunity to inform your team that your door is always open. If someone feels like you're rushing through a conversation to get back to your work, this could indicate that you need to work on your listening skills and avoid multitasking. Practice mindfulness. In difficult conversations, preparing beforehand can help the conversation go in a more productive and satisfying direction. We should avoid using scripts as they make our words appear impersonal and rehearsed. Instead, we should note some major points we want to cover, tailored to suit the personality type of the person receiving it. Follow up with the person you're speaking with to ensure they process the information and are comfortable doing so. If you think the person is upset, schedule a conversation for later when they'll be less emotionally charged. If someone is frustrated, try to reassure them that what they say makes sense and that you understand their feelings. This can help keep your emotions in check. It may be difficult to have a conversation with someone if we're hurt or angry. It's easy for our feelings to cloud our judgment, bringing out the worst in us. Taking a deep breath and resetting your emotions before jumping into solutions is important. Summarizing prompts someone to think that you've listened to them. It's not a question of whether you agree with somebody. The important part is showing that you heard what they said and realize the gravity of their statement. Admit when you are wrong. Even the most empathetic communicators sometimes make mistakes. When this happens, it's important to acknowledge the mistake, apologize for it, and then move forward from there. Successful communications between two parties relies on understanding each other's needs and meeting their expectations. The contributions of everyone involved should be showcased to show how valuable their work is and the project as a whole. This is effective in both group settings and one-on-one situations. Expressing emotion or fact can help you connect with someone more. Use the language your listeners are most familiar with. When you're calm and collected, it's easier to get past disagreements. Members of a team must utilize their differences and create synergy. To conclude, look for a common ground that everyone can agree on. This helps you diffuse any lingering tension and get back on track. Chapter 8. Nonverbal communication. Communication is more than just what we say. It's also how we act and other nonverbal cues. Over 80% of communication is nonverbal. The fact that people choose to use more nonverbal cues in their communications should be no surprise. Humans can communicate with one another efficiently and effectively through a language that is constantly changing. Despite the vast number of languages, humans share these nonverbal aspects that make communications easier. Nonverbal cues are an incredibly important part of any cultural exchange. Your body's nonverbal movements can send a different message than what your words are saying. Nonverbal communication is information that's passed without spoken or written words. It includes eye contact or the lack thereof, facial expressions, gestures, posture, personal appearance, and the physical environment. How is nonverbal communication important? It conveys interpersonal and emotional messages. Nonverbals are a big part of the communications process and usually happen unconsciously. They can convey happiness, anger, sadness, interest, curiosity, hurt, and so much more. It takes more than words to communicate properly. People cannot always control nonverbal cues, but they may be able to use them to their advantage. Body language could complement spoken words and lead to more effective interactions. Proper interpretation. Understanding nonverbal signs can be challenging to comprehend. It connects with different people and cultures so that each scenario's meaning might differ. As a result, nonverbal communication will only sometimes have a fixed meaning. Because we've been doing it since childhood, and it's gradually developed into an instinct, when you spot conflicting patterns, you learn to interpret them to avoid problems consciously. Misinterpretations can also bring to light other issues present in the interaction. Instinctive nature. Messages are only sometimes verbal and rely on something other than the spoken language if there is a conflict between two people. Observing nonverbal cues can be more reliable than what people might say in the heat of the moment. They provide a certain level of reliability that may be beneficial in these situations. It's not just the emotions that are innate. There are also nonverbal communications, like crying or laughing, that can be instinctive. Not only humans, but some animals have this kind of sensitivity too. Workplace efficiency. The use of appropriate nonverbal communication skills can ease the process of working in an office. It also helps when dealing with other people in interviews. Most professionals in various fields should be able to rely on this type of communication skill. Eye contact is one way to send signals to people and should be used effectively. Overconfidence can downplay a worker's credibility, and trustworthiness can show accuracy. Communication is important in the workplace, so it should be monitored carefully. Understanding. Almost everything you do and how others perceive you is based on your nonverbal behavior. When two modes of communication are similar, it increases the chances for a more excellent understanding of the messages being sent. To establish connection. Nonverbal communication is a great way to establish connection and trust. It's no accident that many cultures see physical gestures like a handshake or hug as necessary in certain personal interactions. To demonstrate authenticity. Your nonverbal communication goes a long way in establishing the authenticity of your feelings to those who you are speaking to. Complementing your actual words with direct eye contact and confident posture will demonstrate to others that you're giving voice to your true feelings. Effects of nonverbal communication. There are different effects of nonverbal communication. Repetition. Nonverbal signs are essential in generating emotional reactions when disciplining employees. When you see this type of physical reaction, it is generally a sign of how serious the situation is for that employee. Contradiction. Nonverbal communication can sometimes be a contradiction of verbal communication. For instance, when you ask someone, they say they're fine but show many signs of being sad or crying. Substitution. Nonverbal communications can often be better than words, especially contextual. Traffic signals also communicate important things without words. In games, barriers or walls will block you from progressing farther or lead you to an area that has been found and are used to indicate the goal of the game. Complementing. Nonverbal messages like expressions, gestures, and postures complement verbal signals. For example, when someone says they hurt, their face might also hold an expression of pain. Gestures can also add meaning to words and phrases with similar meanings. Accenting. Nonverbal communication can help clarify vague language. For instance, if you're talking to someone on the phone or meeting for lunch, it's a good idea to use signals that provide clues about what you're saying. Other people will become more aware of the points you want to be emphasized and why. Nonverbal communication is important in crucial situations, but its importance varies depending on the context and situation. With it, one could understand and succeed in specific communication scenarios. Sometimes, nonverbals can stand on their own, while others rely on the verbal ability to get a conversation going. Types of nonverbal communication. It usually consists of body language, anything from facial expressions to gestures or other body movements. Posture. Your body language is an important tool in communicating with other people. Your posture and how you hold your arms or hands can show different messages depending on what you're trying to convey. Sometimes fidgeting can signal impatience, so think about why you feel this way and take action if it seems appropriate. Eye contact. Eye contact is often a way for people to communicate more with someone. The longer the eye contact lasts, the more connected the two people feel. However, if eye contact feels too intense and you're wondering if it's becoming uncomfortable for your conversation partner, look away before they feel uncomfortable. Facial expressions. Some ways that your facial expressions can demonstrate how you feel or what you're thinking include smiling, frowning, and chuckling. Your facial expressions provide insight into your feelings or what's on your mind. For instance, furrowing your eyebrows can communicate many other emotions, from sadness and concern to anger and deep thought. Gestures. Gestures are also used for communication. You can use them to say something without saying anything at all. For example, you might point directions out to someone or use your hand gestures to communicate something else. Space. Spacing is a way to communicate feelings. When two people sit close together, it can show they're attracted to one another or are in a close relationship. If a person puts a lot of space between them and someone else, it might mean they're uncomfortable with the other person. Touch. Physical touch can communicate a myriad of emotions. It's possible to show compassion or empathy by giving or receiving a hug when someone is sad, and it's even possible to celebrate with someone by bestowing them with a high five. For instance, children in your charge may be hitting one another to show their frustration and anger with a situation or person. How to improve your nonverbal communication skills. Here are a few tips to improve body language in the office and outside of it. Communication is important in any social setting, so practicing good body language etiquette helps you and those around you. Practice, practice, practice. It can take time to get accurate feedback on your nonverbal communication. Communication experts recommend interacting with friends and family who can provide you with self-awareness in the context of conversations. When you practice speaking in front of a mirror, you'll be able to recognize your weaknesses and fix them. Communication skills are most effective when practiced in parallel. By mirroring the other individual, you can understand your body language and align your behavior to match theirs. It shows a sense of trust and confidence. Pay attention to your tone. Tone can be an effective way to amplify your message by conveying a range of emotions. The tone of your voice affects how others respond to you more than you may realize. Start noticing when your tone has a negative or positive effect on the conversation, and then change it to emphasize what you want to communicate. For example, an animated tone of voice can help people appreciate how much you care about something. This can bring a genuine interest in others and make the conversation more interesting. Use good eye contact. Eye contact is a nonverbal communication skill that conveys what's going on in your head. When people fail to look another person in the eye, they might be trying to hide something or show a lack of interest. On the other hand, too much eye contact can seem confrontational and intimidating. When someone's eye contact goes from light to intense, that may be a sign that they're uncomfortable or feel threatened. It's essential to take note of the person's nonverbal cues and have a back channel open for emergencies. Intervals of eye contact should last between 4 and 5 seconds. This comfortable length of time will create a natural feeling. Ask questions. It's always a good idea to ask questions when you need clarification on someone's nonverbal communication. If unsure of what the other person means, it's best to repeat your interpretation and ask for confirmation. Sometimes it's easier to ask, "Is this what you mean?" By asking follow-up questions, you can determine what a person's body language and tone of voice might mean. Use signals to add meaning. Vocal communication is a big part of how people understand and convey what they're saying. If your face, tone, and body language work together to show empathy and understanding, the other person will have a much easier time understanding what you have to say. Knowing how to send nonverbal signals is important. Communicating with them will give you more confidence and increase your chances of getting the accurate information you need from a meeting. You can strike a self-confident stance by standing firmly and keeping your shoulders back. Consider the context. Communication requires consideration of the situation and context of the communication. Miller advises always to consider culture when communicating with others. Some situations require more formal behavior, and depending on the culture, that behavior may be interpreted differently. Nonverbal behaviors are essential in every situation. We must be mindful of how we choose to use them in different contexts and the level of formality they indicate. When you work with colleagues, it's important to understand the context of the nonverbal signals used by coworkers to convey your messages effectively. Chapter 9. Teamwork. Great teamwork is the key to success. Having a positive and inclusive workplace culture can increase team morale and creativity. This can be done by being more flexible with the team to allow better integration of new members. But how does communication affect teamwork? Communication can be a boon or a bust for teamwork. Some factors lead to high levels of communication in the team or leadership, while others can lead to low concentration and poor quality conversations. Individuals can learn the art of communication by practicing with others one-on-one or online through groups. Companies are using technologies to communicate new possibilities for team members to be more expressive. Team members need to share their thoughts and original intentions to avoid confusion. Take time to communicate with your team. Everyone must be willing to do their part in a group project. Critical elements of a successful team. Communication. Strong teams have a strong foundation of communication. Team leaders can boost motivation and morale by ensuring everyone knows what's going on and focuses on the important things. Ensure your team understands the team objectives and their impact on their work. Be open to new ideas, discuss concerns, and listen to your employees. Everyone is committed to success, which brings a fantastic sense of pride and satisfaction. Plans. To execute a project successfully, you will have to break down the plan into individual assignments assigned to team members. Ensure that all team members clearly understand how the project is progressing and what needs to happen between meetings. If a company organizes its workforce in small units, each focused on a particular goal, the team will perform much better. Leaders should show their appreciation for their employees and ensure they are rewarded when they do well. Why communication is essential in a team. Promotes healthy working relationships. To connect with your coworkers, it's important to remember what you're working for. Employees are likely to be more productive in good moods, and happy teams can produce great projects. Successful employees need to feel welcome and valued in their workplace. Work relationships are strengthened when people feel like they have someone on their side who understands them and supports them. In a distributed team environment, individuals may lack individual social validation. This can lead to poor relationships across the board. A positive and well-oiled team must have regular bonding activities to keep internal communications flowing. Companies should use digital methods to build a strong and enduring adherence to the rules of their company culture. Promotes employee engagement. To improve engagement, it's crucial to have your company's communications practices clearly explained to employees. Communication is a key part of effective teamwork. Open communication in the workplace can reduce employee doubts and inspire creativity, leading to better work and improved morale for everyone. Internal team communication creates a sense of belonging in the workplace and helps keep employees satisfied. Improves well-being. Organizations need to provide employees with a healthy work environment to increase productivity. The loss of direct interactions with team members can be a factor in the loss of productivity in the workplace. This is a problem that needs to be addressed as soon as possible. Remote employees are adapting to the new work environment. However, this shift has created stress and anxiety as they don't communicate with their team members in person. Sharing concerns can help employees feel better and more empathetic. An excellent remote communication system can be a big help in this area. Encourage innovation. A diverse workplace has people from different backgrounds and ethnicities, who all have different experiences that help them to understand the problem. Businesses need to have a culture of openness where employees offer input and feedback to make decisions. This allows companies to innovate and make the most of their time. Organizations that use open communication are more innovative than those that do not. Enhances transparency. In a team environment, information sharing is encouraged, and positive relationships are built by fostering transparency. Working with different people creates new ideas, leading to better work and innovation. Communication is key for a smooth workflow. Transparency can help with knowing what to do and being more open in your conversation. To build better teams, we need a level of communication that is clear and transparent. By having this important step, we bring about productivity for the company as a whole. How to improve communication skills. Some people communicate using different rules and guidelines than others. It is essential to understand the person you are communicating with so you know their preferences and can work with them to achieve your goals. Here's what you can do. Resolve conflicts quickly. Workplace conflicts can get out of hand. They start small, but over time they grow and lead to different problems. Sometimes the best thing to do is to talk with that person causing an issue and find a way to resolve it, but always keep in mind that there are always solutions. Team members need to resolve their conflicts quickly to maintain tension and productivity. Conflict resolution is an important skill set for any team member, regardless of size. If your team members can learn how to handle conflict quickly and respectfully, these problems will only escalate into larger problems that can take more time and effort to resolve. Encourage engagement. Everyone needs guidance to be productive, but managers should also provide a sense of creative freedom for their team members. This will lead to greater engagement with the project. Ensure team members feel valued by asking for their ideas and supporting them in meetings. Weekly meetings allow for everyone to be on the same page, ask questions, and get feedback about what's going on with their projects. Promote bottom-up communication. There is still a struggle for voice acceptance for the lower team members. Teams that promote bottom-up communications see increased engagement from their entire team. It's important to have a sense of ownership among team members to create a culture where they'll go above and beyond. One way to help team members feel comfortable sharing their ideas is to ask for feedback. Encourage group discussion by hosting a variety of interactions with your team members. You can also meet in a specific place and formalize the process with a suggestion box. Strive for transparency. Open and transparent communication is vital in a communicative workplace. It removes any misunderstandings between team members and reduces the chance of miscommunication, which can be risky. Knowing how to handle employee feedback can be challenging, but being honest and open-minded is an excellent way to manage the process. A motivating leader creates a team that bonds over shared goals. When team members work toward the same goal, they feel like valuable group members and work harder to achieve it. It's essential to have transparency with your team members about important company goals, such as revenue, but you don't need to share personal details if they're not pertinent publicly. Personal issues happen regularly and can be shared as they are appropriate. Schedule one-on-one meetings. Team members talking to each other helps them integrate their thoughts, allowing them to bring the energy from each experience back to the group. It's important to offer your team members regular meetings so they feel comfortable communicating with you and developing as individuals. One-on-one meetings also allow you to address issues or concerns in the workplace and check in on the well-being of your team members. Building relationships with your team members is critical. It allows you to collaborate, brainstorm creatively, and lead more effectively. It can be hard to bring up a serious subject with your team members. If someone seems depressed, is struggling emotionally, or needs time off to care for themselves or other family members, take them aside and discuss it with them. Provide consistent feedback. Giving feedback is important during a meeting. It keeps team members motivated, engaged, and learning from each other's actions. One-on-one meetings are the best place to discuss performance feedback and what team members can work on. Consider distributing an anonymous survey to get honest opinions from your team members about your performance as a team leader. Know your team's communication styles. Many people have complex personalities, and one way to get everyone on the same page is to understand their different communication styles. By understanding these styles, you can better identify what motivates each person on your team and tailor your communications accordingly. Dominant. Team members with a dominant communication style are highly competitive, highly motivated, and confident in their abilities. However, their impatience and confidence can get in the way of team dynamics. You should implement some gentle yet powerful techniques when motivating your team members. You can make their day by challenging them with big-picture questions pertinent to your company's mission, and remind them of the importance of sticking together in times of conflict. Influencer. Team members with highly effective influencer communication styles have the skills to handle complex customer and client interactions because they are charismatic and engaging. There are a few ways to keep influencer team members from losing focus of the project and becoming too distracted, including giving them tasks that fit their skill set, encouraging them to express themselves in their role while making sure they aren't a distraction can also help retain their enthusiasm for the project. Conscientious. Some team members are more likely to be conscientious than others. These team members work hard, produce error-free work, and are willing to go out of their way to grow their knowledge. Since these team members tend to communicate well and be able to identify when communication could be running better, it's best to give them only a little responsibility, but instead just let them work on what they're good at. Outline clear guidelines for proper workplace communications and provide a transparent experience for all stakeholders. Steady. Stable team members want to work in a consistent environment where their work is valued. However, more popular members may feel they can only be in one place for a short period and might not enjoy a relaxed environment. A more traditional workplace might be a better fit for stable team members who prefer consistency, and allowing team members to be set in their roles and providing them with a stable environment is key to having an effective workforce. When there are changes in the workplace, it's important to allow team members to adapt while keeping their skill sets and knowledge up to date. Communication is essential to fostering a successful work team. It directly influences and affects others, so an organization must prioritize and give employees opportunities to connect. Encouraging healthy conversations between employees and addressing issues that arise are important pieces in the success story of any company. Ensure that you take the time to gather opinions and feedback from your coworkers and create a shared language amongst your team and collaborate with others. Establishing clear work standards and communication strategies is essential to facilitate a thriving culture. Chapter 10. Storytelling. The world of public relations and marketing is all about effective communication, conveying information in a way your audience perceives as emotional. We know that to engage your audience, you have to work with them to strike a chord, one powerful enough to create an emotional response. Humans have a natural affinity for stories, which is the most effective way to engage an audience. Think about it. How many stories do you watch on your screen daily? When watching your favorite YouTube channel, how many ads come on between? Do they tell a story? I bet they do. Have you ever wondered why? Humans have used stories for centuries to express themselves, reflect on their feelings, and connect. Stories are powerful when communicating values, defining your personal experience or identity, and persuading people. Public relations, communication, and marketing professionals can use stories to help them achieve their goals. Stories can be used to persuade or build trust between parties. The reason perspectives become widely accepted is that they are presented in a personal narrative that's easy to digest. Companies are utilizing storytelling more nowadays to connect with the public, influence their behavior, and motivate change. Why is storytelling important in communication? Stories are a versatile vehicle for companies to communicate their message. The use of storytelling in a product helps the recipient remember the product better, and they become more likely to trust that product. A storytelling approach is a great way to express your culture and personality. By doing this, you can convey your brand's unique culture to external stakeholders. Companies that have clear, concise values and goals for their brand will be able to create a more robust culture and identity for themselves. Storytelling is an effective tool for business communication. It allows for a connection between the company, management, and its customer, creating a more cohesive vision of the company. When they resonate with listeners, they give them a sense of being part of the story and company. In addition, stakeholders get a good reason to be invested in the company's future. How to create a compelling story. One factor to remember is that stories are not just about information. They're about emotions and experiences too. Humans have been telling stories for thousands of years and do so every day. But how they tell those stories can change a lot. A problem statement and solution. A setback might happen when you attempt to make a significant change in your life, or when your confidence is shaken. There are good heroes in stories because they keep going despite the hard times, and are great visionaries who take action before it's too late. When a resolution happens, it usually comes with thrilling and satisfying moments for audiences. Tap into emotions. Emotions make stories powerful. Your listeners need to see what you're talking about. Descriptions of people, challenges, and benefits can help bring a story to life. Keep it simple. Storytelling should be simple to understand. You'll want to keep your writing relatable so your audience can put themselves in the character's shoes. Make it relatable. To engage your audience, you should relate your story to themselves. Writing about how the challenge changed your way of thinking or how it shaped the outcome will make readers more interested in what you have to say. Your audience will identify with the challenges presented in your article. Using relatable examples, you create an article your readers can easily relate to. Storytelling is valuable to the success of a company's communications. It builds trust with audiences because the company puts them first, and it's essential for a brand to have its narrative. A compelling story does not have some magical quality that makes it different from any other story. The author's job is to ensure the audience stays focused on their message. To be an influential communicator, you need to know how to use words, images, vocal inflections, and diverse media content that engages the audience. How to be a great storyteller. Know your target audience. Identifying what your audience wants is key in determining how you can be successful. Being able to measure the success of your message will allow for adjustments in the future. These are both skills that communicators should be able to acquire and use in their jobs. For example, when advertising for a car brand like Toyota, the choice of the car model in the story may differ based on the demographic group you're targeting. If you're successful at answering their questions, you'll know how to write a story that's more effective and has a better chance of hooking your audience. You'll also know what type of reaction they might give. Be truthful. To stay true to your brand and vision, it's essential to maintain a sense of consistency and avoid shifting from the core message. If a story is being told about your company, stay true to that. Otherwise, it can turn people off and you may miss out on good PR. Go with a character your audience can relate to. Brand advertising relies heavily on characters. They are used to establish a connection and generate feelings toward an advertisement that would not be possible with text and visuals alone. Learn from successful examples, but be authentic. Storytelling can provide a great source of inspiration for your brand. You don't want to copy and paste your company's story. Instead, find a way to incorporate lessons from an inspiring story into yours. With the new trends in the market and successful examples out there, it's essential to stay up to date to find your voice. Pay attention to your channel of communication. The type of platform you are storytelling on can greatly impact how much engagement you get. Nowadays, the digital age has brought with it new tools for storytelling. Individuals, organizations, and companies must be familiar with these platforms to tell their stories effectively. Conclusion. Communication is the foundation for a solid and successful work relationship. Communicating effectively with others, facing vulnerability, and acknowledging personal responsibility are essential. Developing skills in effective communication is important for both personal and professional reasons. Effective communication starts with a contemplation of one's goals, then preparation, followed by an exchange of information. It's important to be able to communicate in a variety of ways. Skills like vocal communication, written communication, and visual communication are vital in the workplace. Asking the right questions can lead to a better understanding of another person's thinking, which translates into a more productive workday. Get in touch with your communication skills and witness the positive results for your short-term and long-term goals. It's very important to be a good listener and practice active listening. This can help you better understand what others are saying so that you can respond to output with greater clarity. Keep your message direct and concise. Avoid using filler words and get straight to the point. Using excessive words, pacing, or speech, this person may tune out or not understand what you're talking about. Body language is a meaningful way to show others you're confident and friendly. It's important to keep your body language open and to invite. Your tone warm and friendly, and maintain eye contact with those around you. It can also help to watch for the tone of voice when you talk. An abrupt tone could turn someone off nearby, while a calm one opens people. Eye contact can help establish trust and make the other person feel comfortable, but it's important to ensure that you're not making another person uncomfortable by staring. Being confident in your communication can be as easy as keeping a positive mindset, maintaining eye contact, having a calm demeanor, and speaking conclusively. Try not to make statements sound like questions or aggressive or demeaning. Regarding disagreements, it's important to remember that both parties often come from their perspective. It's best not to make assumptions. Instead, be respectful of others. Being respectful is an important aspect of communication. It can be as simple as paying attention to what someone says, using their name, and not being distracted. People will feel like their opinions matter and appreciate the other person more because of it. There you have it. All you need to know to be a professional communicator. So what are you waiting for? It's time to put these tips into practice. Remember, practice makes perfect.
We appreciate you tuning in to one of our captivating audiobooks. For more immersive experiences, here is another audiobook we're certain you'll enjoy. Don't forget to show your support by liking this video, sharing what you loved about this audiobook in the comments section below, and subscribing for more captivating audiobooks like this. Thanks for being a part of our audiobook community.